is the ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
Good evening, welcome to Test Match Special, coming to you live from the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground here in St Lucia. England's Super 8s campaign starts here tonight against tournament hosts the West Indies. All those worries for England about qualification from their group can be forgotten. They can reset. The hard work starts now for a push towards the semi-finals. The ground absolutely rocking. Streams of spectators walking down the hillsides to get into the ground. Locals asking all day where they could find tickets. The barbecues, the rum bars already doing a roaring trade. Strap yourselves in. We could be in for some evening as two of the tournament's most powerful sides come together in their opening match in the Super 8 phase. We'll get the thoughts of Stephen Finn in just a moment, but first the toss. Nasser Hussain is with the two captains.
It is time for Super 8 cricket here in St Lucia. The two captains are ready. The match referee is ready. Rovman, you've got the coin. Give it a spin, please. Heads. Heads is the call from Joss Butler. It is the head. Joss, you've won the toss. What are you going to do and why?
We're going to bowl first. I think we watched the other game the other night. Looked a good wicket. Obviously a strong breeze, and we fancy a chase.
What is your team news?
We have one change, I think, from the last game. Mark Wood comes back in for Chris Jordan.
And Liam Livingstone, who had that niggle, and he's also been a bit unwell. He's fully fit to play a full role with bat and ball.
Yeah, he is. There's been a few guys a little bit sick, but no, everyone's doing well. He's fit to play a full part in the match.
You've got 3 big games now in 5 days, but you go into it with a bit of momentum with the way you played in Antigua.
Yeah, we do. This is the part of the tournament you want to be at. It's we've got some top teams to play against. Obviously, playing the West Indies here is going to be a great atmosphere. A really day to be enjoyed, and looking forward to a great challenge.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Rovman, you've lost the toss. What would you have done?
I think if we won the toss, we'd have bowled also. But having said that, it's a very good wicket, so hopefully our batters can make good use of it.
You've played on it already, exactly the same pitch. Do you think it will play the same after 36 and a bit overs?
Yeah, definitely. Especially yesterday that they got to roll and wet it if they need to. But it's generally a very good wicket, and it looks really good.
What is your team news?
We have 2 changes. Ruston Chase comes back in for Shea Hope. Romario Shepherd is in for Obed McCoy.
Just a word on this crowd. It looks like the whole of St Lucia and the whole of the West Indies is behind you.
Yeah, definitely. We've been playing some good cricket, so that naturally, while West Indies playing good cricket, people will always support us. Tonight presents another opportunity for us to do so.
Go well this evening.
Thanks, man.
So the news from the middle is that England have won the toss. They're having a bowl.
So, first job done, Stephen Finn for England. They've won the toss, they're going to have a bowl first. This is a West Indies side that hit the tournament's highest total batting in the first innings a couple of days ago, north of 200, and that Nicholas Pooran innings, 98 or 53 balls, a tournament high in itself. That 218 they made here a few nights ago will be a warning to England, but they've won the toss and they're bowling.
Yes, it's their preferred method of trying to win these games on good surfaces, is restrict in the first innings and then use that powerful batting lineup to chase whatever is set. In that first innings, the wicket's going to be very good. I anticipate this being a high-scoring game, so I don't think England are going to stifle the West Indies to 140 or something. I see it being a relatively big score in the first innings, and England will just back themselves with that middle order that love hitting sixes to do it with the wind and the small boundary that Joss Butler referenced in his pre-match interview there.
Yeah, these sides came together in that 5-match series at the back end of last year. During it, there was 126s hit. It was an unbelievable display of power hitting across both sides. So, though the West Indies won that series 3 matches to 2, you'd say they're pretty well matched, these two teams. West Indies line up like this: Johnson, Charles, Brandon King opening the batting. Then it's the very dangerous left-hander Nicholas Pooran. Roston Chase is back into the side in place of Shea Hope. Rovman Powell, Shafane Rutherford, Andre Russell. Romario Shepherd is back post the birth of his second child. Akil Hussain, Alzari Joseph and Gurikesh Moti. As for England, well, Phil Salt and Joss Butler opened the batting. We heard all about how Will Jacks was England's number 3 ahead of this tournament. Well, he's not, because Johnny Bairstow is batting there today, as he did against Namibia. Harry Brook, Moeen Ali, Liam Livingstone is fit, despite the concerns with that side injury. during the Namibia game. Sam Curran keeps his place. Then it's Jofra Archer, Adil Rashid, Mark Wood is the one change coming in for Chris Jordan and Reece Topley. So what do we make of that England lineup then?
Yeah, it's an interesting shift in tactics, isn't it? I think having Johnny Bairstow at number 3 in that game against Namibia worked. He was able to bat against the newer ball when it was coming on slightly better than those middle overs, which is something that he's very much used to batting inside that opening power play, isn't he? So to see him up at 3, I think is a good move by England, but I do feel sorry for Will Jacks because of the IPL that he's had, and I think he's a really wonderful top order T20 player, so he'll feel a bit hard done by. But for the players that we've seen this tournament and the performances we've seen, this seems like a nicely balanced team with more all-rounders and more options with the ball.
What about West Indies? It's a side with phenomenal batting depth. We know how dangerous they can be and where the runs come from. Dangers posed in a home tournament as well, because when we were here the other night, it was some atmosphere. It was intimidating for Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't read too much into that. I think Afghanistan just had a really off night. Maybe they'd switched off knowing that they were already through to the next round and just keen to get their bad performance out the way before they hit these Super 8s. But the atmosphere out there is going to be brilliant. There's a few more England supporters here than Afghanistan supporters the other day, even though there were a few. But it's going to be a really rocket hot atmosphere down underneath the party stand, and you can feel on the way into the ground about an hour and a half ago that we got here, it was already bubbling up to be a really special atmosphere. Yeah,
the steel drums were going, supporters walking down the various hillsides. This ground is sort of in the sort of depths of a valley between all these hills, and it makes the most extraordinary oasis underneath the floodlights as you see it from miles around. Over to our right, the vast Johnson Charles stand. He's the local hero. He'll be opening the batting alongside Brandon King shortly, and because of those corrugated iron roof panels above, when the crowd gets going and the music gets going, it echoes around and it is some noise. Party stand opposite to our left, there's a Bury FC flag that I can see draped over the front of it as well, and no doubt about it, that place will be very lively indeed come the start of this game. Here come the two sides, England in red with the blue trousers, West Indies in the maroon predominantly, but with the yellow flashes on the front of the shirts. And it is a West Indies side who have won their last 9 in this format. They are a serious threat to this tournament and could well be lifting that trophy if they can keep on the roll that they found themselves in the group stages to get here. Here come the two sides then for the national anthems. They're out in the middle, and
ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you are able for the anthems of England and the West Indies.
England with their arms round each other. Expression on the face of Jos Buttler. And here comes Rally Round the West Indies.
No noble thoughts brought us here to this region, but through it all, we have risen above. Flashing their willow and leather, these keepers of the flame must feel our undying love. This Caribbean nation is rising fast, a sunbeam cutting through a clouded past. A passion fills the world like a raging fire. As the sun shines, you know we can take it higher. Let every voice be West Indies, now and forever. Rally, rally round the West Indies, now and
There we go, rally around the West Indies, absolutely rocking this place. It's a brilliant atmosphere out there, and it is hard to overstate quite how big this occasion feels for the people of St Lucia, and it's almost as if every single person on this island's been trying to get a ticket. Vinny, all anyone is talking about is this big match between England and West Indies.
Yeah, I've been accosted a few times in the hope that I could wrangle one, but aside from having my accreditation, it would be very difficult for me to find some tickets to come to this, because it's going to be jam-packed. There are a few unpopulated seats at the moment in the stand away to our right, but as happened the other evening, as people filter their way through the small little gates on their way into the ground, this will be absolutely rocking, and they might want to turn up quick, because the West Indies flew out the blocks the other day against Afghanistan, and they'll be looking to do the same again today.
Yeah, 92 they scored in the first 6, a record in T20 World Cup history. And what will be interesting to see is how England's bowling approaches bowling those death overs, because Chris Jordan is normally a man given that responsibility, not in the side today. It doesn't feel Mark Wood's natural vocation, perhaps.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they negotiate those. I think they'll be going hard at trying to take wickets, and that's the best way to stem the scoring rate and to make sure that your death bowling isn't put under real pressure, is by taking wickets all the way through the innings, so you're batting or bowling at numbers 7, 8, 9, although Andre Russell's carded to come in at 7, so you don't want to be bowling at him. But yeah, see what the tactics are like. The power play is where England struggled against Australia in that group game. They won't want a repeat of that.
Right then, we're ready to go. Johnson Charles is in the middle with Brandon King. It looks like Reece Topley will open the bowling. Jofra Archer is striding towards us. He has played West Indies previously, 5 separate occasions, just once in T20 internationals though, and England will have a significant and positive part to play in this game. Stephen Finn standing by to take us through the opening phases of this game. The start of the Super 8 for England and West Indies early on today in their group. Narrow victory for South Africa over the USA in Antigua. Here it starts for the other two teams in this side of the Super 8. England versus West Indies. Stephen Finn, some more from you, and then for the first time this evening, Jeff Lemon.
Yeah, this is England's first real test since that chastening defeat against Australia. They overcame Namibia and Oman in those final 2 group games, but this is really going to be a stern test. Reece Topley has the ball in his hand. He'll be looking to find some in-swing to these right-handed batters inside the power play. The left arm angle has been very useful inside the first over so far this tournament. He'll be hoping for an early breakthrough.
Good evening, Stephen.
Good evening, Jeff.
Good to see you, and good to see all of these people filling up these seats. I've been out there wandering around the ground for the last hour or so and just chatting to people and getting the vibe. The vibe check is good. That's the official word of Vibe Viz. And Reece Topley is waiting patiently at the top of it, bowling some practice deliveries. He was just about unhittable in that Namibia game. Didn't concede anything. Took apart Oman, he didn't take wickets at the top, but again, just gave away no runs. The others were able to exert pressure based on that, so this will be the big challenge for him though.
And this pitch is good as well. It really skipped onto the bat the other evening. West Indies posting 218 in their first innings. And that's going to be a real test for England here with the new ball in their hands to try and stop this powerful top order from scoring.
So Brandon King and Johnson Charles, they faced Fazal Haq Faruqi, who's left arm and quick the other night, took him down in the first over of the match. So it'll be Control V, Control C for tonight. The style of bowling they're facing. The umpire still holding up Topley as the music blares around the ground. Deeply cheesy EDM getting a workout here, as it has done throughout the series. I've almost been playing hard trance in some of the games in New York.
With the phone ringing sound in between it, isn't it? It's every now and again the DJ must have a button, he just presses the phone.
Every time he does it, our producer Chris almost dislocates his neck looking around to see where the phone's ringing.
3, 2, 1.
Countdown is ready, and we're launching for the moon. As Topley comes in and bowls, and driving down the ground is King, but only for one. So a quiet enough start. The ball did swing a little bit into the pads.
Yeah, they'll be very wary of that ball arcing back in. These balls, these Kookaburra balls, they're machine-made, and they have an extra layer of lacquer on them that holds them together. It means that these first 2 or 3 overs are really potent if you can present the seam and swing the ball, especially left-armers bowling back in to right-handers.
Topley will be breathing a little easier after a quiet start. But that doesn't mean the next ball can't go rocketing away. Here he comes again, Topley to Johnson Charles down the leg side. It's a wide. There was some swing there, so it's not the worst news in the world for the bowler.
The only problem is that the field is quite a curious one, actually. You wouldn't usually see a field like this. So there's a deep backward square leg, a deep mid-wicket, a mid-wicket inside the circle on the wicket ends by the stumps, and then a mid-on. So there is no fielder from deep backward square leg all the way round to the wicket-keeper.
Topley close to the stumps, swinging in, it strikes him on the pad. Topley's appealing, he really likes it. Butler not quite as convinced. The rest of the cordon were more muted. Was swinging towards the leg side, and Topley, after a chat with his captain, is told that we're not going upstairs.
Yeah, it looked half decent, that shout, to me. It must have continued after it pitched as well. It was very full from Topley. Again, that arc back into the right-hander. Yeah, I think going just down the leg side. It might have been clipping that leg stump, but there's too much doubt around where it pitched and where it would have ended up hitting for England to go for the review.
He looked almost confused at that being turned down, Topley. He's up now, bowling to Charles, swinging down the leg side and wide again, so hasn't quite been able to control that line. Just needs to start the ball a couple of inches further across towards the offside. 3 for none now. Yeah. 2 extras. Clearly
going full and straight, trying to hit that LB, but slightly concerned that there's no one. There is now a leg slip there because of this, but there's no one from that leg slip all the way round to deep backwards square leg. A huge, vast space for the batters to take advantage of.
Topley in and bowling, and this one is straighter on the stumps, tapped it deep to a short mid-wicket rather, and there was a minor misunderstanding that didn't end up being disastrous, because the two of them had a little chat, had a little yes-no, and eventually agreed to go back to their respective ends. So still 3 without loss. Charles on strike. King was the one who took a few steps down and then bailed out on the run. Topley bowls again, fully pitched. It's down the leg side, but clipped something on the way through. Was there some pad? It's definitely a noise.
I think it nutmegged him. Wide. I think it might have nutmegged him.
He squeezed it between his feet, hasn't he?
Yeah. There's wind going from left to right today as well. It has been. I woke up this morning and looked outside, and the trees were blowing all over the place, and that wind has continued into the evening. It's nice and warm, but big wind from left to right as we're looking at Topley running away from us here, so it's aiding his swing so far this over.
That's east to west if you're looking at things from a cardinal point of view. And on the leg stump, and it's just getting a bit of bat behind it in the end, is Johnson Charles. This hasn't been an easy over to face. I haven't been able to punish any of the deliveries yet, although there have been those couple of extras. The ones that have been online have been hard to score from. Still 3 for none.
Yeah, everything's been a leg stump line, not giving these West Indies batters any chance to free their arms. The field is stacked leg side, 5 fielders there, which is unusual in a power play.
Topley to finish the over off. Bowls to Charles, who's driving him, and he's finding a gap on the offside. Doesn't time it perfectly, so he'll only get 2 runs rather than the ball speeding to the boundary for 4, but it does go in between point and cover. And that's probably a start that Topley would take. 5 for none off the first over, considering West Indies got, 12 or 15 off their first over a couple of nights ago when they were taking down Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's the angle of Reece Topley. I think that's why people were calling for him to play earlier in the tournament. His ability to swing this new ball is different to any other England bowler, so making good use of that. And interestingly, Jos Buttler opting for Mark Wood to bowl the second over, which I think Wood's more of an outside the power play bowler, but he can get the ball to swing, and clearly Joss Butler sees this as a wicket-taking opportunity with a slip in place to do just that.
This is an interesting pick. Some of our conversations the last few days, we were thinking maybe wouldn't play against West Indies. Turns out that he would. Given that he's so quick and the power of their hitters, you could make the case that he might be more likely to go the journey, but he might just smash through somebody instead. Here he comes, looking to do that, and he's appealing for a caught behind. The ball's come to the wicketkeeper. The umpire's saying it came off the thigh pad, I think, or assuming that it did. There was contact on it. Butler's snared the take cleanly enough, but eventually, after speaking to Wood, he decides they won't look upstairs.
Yeah, LB they were going for there. Struck, I think, above the knee roll. It looked decent-ish from this angle, but clearly it has to be clattering the stumps for a decision like this to be overturned. It's beat the outside edge and hit just about the top of the flap of the pad, so it will be interesting to see. My gut feeling is that was clipping. It's a good start by Mark Wood, right on the money.
Butler did catch the rebound. Wood up again and bowling well down the leg side. An attempted pull shot doesn't catch up with the ball. Brandon King was just hoping to get something on that, even just a flicker of the handle or the glove would have sent it flying away to fine leg. They've got a short fine leg inside the circle with Adil Rashid waiting there. And anything with Wood's pace that's flipped away down the leg side will disappear. They've got Topley at a deep third in case there's a top or outside edge that goes down that way. So a slip, deep third, backward point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, deep backward square leg and a short fine. Umpire's call on the previous LBW. Wood bowls and just getting a little bat behind it. King hustles through for a single. There's a direct hit at the striker's end, which will give them an extra run, or it should, but King's overrun the stumps. But Johnson Charles, rather, heading to the non-striker's end, had such a head of steam up that he overshot the non-striker's crease by about 20 yards. Even though they should have been able to run two, he effectively ran the second just getting back to the non-striker's crease in order to try to put himself in a position to do it. So he wasn't quite switched on enough. The second run is not given away by the overthrow. 7 for none. King and Charles both have 2.
Yeah, good start this by England. They're hitting nice lengths here. They've given 3 extras away, 3 wide, by trying to keep that line tight. But every delivery outside of those has been either over the top of the stumps or on middle and leg, giving these batters no room to thrash their hands through the ball.
Wood up and bowling outside the off stump, and Charles steps away to leg, tries to boom it over mid-off and misses completely. So those West Indies batters will be starting to get a bit frustrated. They're not used to not finding the middle of the bat by this point of the innings. King has only faced the 3 balls, 3 legal deliveries for his 2 runs. Charles 6, but there have been some wides in there as well, so it'll feel like a long time for these 2 that they've been out there without connecting and sending one to the fence. 7 for none in the second over. England choosing to bowl first. Wood up to Charles, who drives one in the air, doesn't get it very cleanly. It's a chip shot more than anything else down towards mid-off. They'll run back for the second, and they make it because the ball just cleared mid-off, rolled away towards the fence a little bit. 9 for none. Charles up to 4.
Yeah, unconvincing that, trying to clip it into the leg side, but because there's a bit of shape from Mark Wood, it just hit the outside half of the bat and a semi-leading edge up over the bowler's head. It wasn't catchable. Dribbled around Jofra Archer's feet as he couldn't read the spin of the ball because of that leading edge.
Wood up to Johnson Charles, who's driving away off the back foot behind point. That's a handsome shot, and it will be the first boundary of the night. You can hear the roar from the West Indies crowd. The placards ripple around the grandstand, and it's 13 for none. Charles up to 8.
Yeah, using the pace nicely there. Johnson Charles, I think deliveries before, they've been thrashing around, trying to hit against the pace there. He does step outside leg stump a touch to create the angle and the room, but all he does is taps it on its head and keeps it down in the gap between point and backward point, and there's 4 runs, and that'll make the West Indies feel a little easier.
Mark Wood, 1 ball to come in this second over. stutter of the steps, and here he comes, sprinting in and bowling a good Yorker that's driven to cover. There won't be a run. So he finishes the over well. 13 for none after 2 overs. England choosing to bowl. You're listening to BBC Test Match Special and also on ABC Sport. You might be tuning into us on the ABC Listen app, wherever you are around the world. Good to have your company. Jeff Lemon and Stephen Finn here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Heard some people calling it Darren Sammy Stadium, but the sign out the front, the big illuminated sign, is unequivocal. This is a cricket ground first and foremost.
Yep, we've seen some good cricket as well here. He's got his own parking space, Darren Sammy. We made the mistake of trying to park in it the first time that we came here a few days ago. This is our 4th match here now, isn't it, this one? So we know
where to go. We were told where to go.
Yeah, not in Darren Sammy's parking spot.
No. So it will be Topley to continue. And he's in and bowling down the leg side. That's another wide, almost clips the pad of King, but not quite. 14 for none with the extra. What's the thought process, do you think, with not using Archer earlier? People would generally expect him to take the new ball.
Yeah, I think Archer will probably come next over at the far end. I just think they would, with his shape, his ability to move the ball away from these right-handers, would have seen it as a wicket-taking opportunity.
Topley to King, very open stance. He forehand smashes it towards mid-off. Can't get a run there. Straight at Archer. Waiting for his chance to come into the game and influence things.
And Joss Butler's come sprinting from the wicket-keeping position all the way to talk to Topley as he trudges back to his mark to talk about tactics. It's actually a part of the captaincy, I think, that it's difficult for it to work like that as the wicket-keeper, having to make those runs all the way to the other end of the pitch. It wastes time, it puts you under time pressure. But he's had his chat and he's back there now.
Topley up and bowling outside the off stump, and again it's cross-batted back down the pitch, but hit straight at Topley, who's able to field it. It is followed through. Back the length that ball, decent delivery. I suppose all that training that you do with the beep tests, that's basically the wicketkeeper running down to the top of the bowler's mark and back.
It's the yo-yo test these days.
Is it?
The beep test is an outdated practice. In fact, the yo-yo test is outdated now. It's a 2-kilometre time trial is the way that your fitness is tested in cricket these days.
No thanks.
Well, yeah, I mean, the 2-kilometre time trial is just, well, it depends on how quick you run it, but it's between 7 and 8 minutes of discomfort, whereas the beep test, it could be a good 15, 16 minutes of unpleasantness.
No, not really interested in that. 4-minute kilometres, that's a little ambitious.
You were getting to the net and back at pickleball this afternoon, Jeff. Up and down with fluidity.
Glad that it's a smaller court.
Like a young Roger Federer.
A rifled backhand down the line.
Yep.
There weren't many of those. So Topley's having a long chat with Archer. I'm not sure what the delay is here. King has wandered off to get something delivered to him on the field. Now he's finally back in his stance and ready to face the bowling. Here's Topley, and he goes large across the line, out over deep mid-wicket, and there's the first 6 of the night, and it might be the first replacement ball of the night. I think that's cleared the roof out there in the blue-seated grandstand. Away to the west is at that side of the ground. It's 20 for none, and King is up to 8.
Yep, it's a monster. I think that's landed about where our car is parked in the car park at the back of that stand, but he's guessing here, King, exactly what Reece Topley is trying to do. He's trying to swing the ball in from a full length. He stays in the shot, so he dips his elbow and shoulder towards the delivery and then just hits it with a straightish bat up over mid-wicket for a humongous 6. He actually changed his bat the ball before,
that's
so
right.
Clearly he's picked the correct one.
Well, Charit Dasalanka hit one that bounced off the roof of that stand and out the other night, but this one cleared it completely. There was no extra assistance, no ricochet. That was a mighty hit from Reece Topley, who has barely conceded a run since he came into this side. Didn't play in the first match, did he, against Scotland, but has been picked since then and has barely given a run away. Well, he's got a new ball back in his hand. halfway through the third over. King and Charles, the royal pair, on 8 apiece. And it's 20 for none, and here's Topley, and he's bowling to King, who just defends it down to mid-off and runs with the stroke. Old style cricket there. Hit the boundary, get off strike. 21 for none.
Yeah, like a slower ball that from Reece Topley, just trying to get King hitting through the ball too early, but he's wise to that and waits and just pushes it up to mid-off, where Jofra Archer does the fielding. It does look really windy out there. The shirts and trousers of the players are blowing right across them.
Topley bowling to Charles, who clears his front leg and slams it to mid-on, but straight at Harry Brook. No run there. Just seeing another replay. That six might have just clipped the back of the roof. So I think it went a bit further than Asalanka's. Eventually bounced up into the night.
Yeah, it's a mighty hit, and it's shots like that actually that show what a good surface that this is. The ball just skips onto the bat.
Topley runs up, left arm, and stepping away. It's flicking it down through fine leg for 4 is Johnson Charles. That will do. He backed away to leg. The ball followed him a bit, and he was able to glance that inside the short fine leg fielder. So 25 for none after 3 overs. They're going at 8 and a bit. Not quite the 10, 12, 15 that they were going at the other night, but still a decent enough lick. And Topley, after bowling a lot of low-scoring deliveries, he's gone for a 6 and a 4 in this over, which cost him 12. 25 for none.
It was the accidental nutmeg from Johnson Charles. They're off the inside edge through his legs and really raced away down just fine of the fielder inside. Fine leg there on the circle. It does look as though Jofra Archer is going to be delivering the 4th over of the innings here. Joss Butler opting to give the ball to someone. I'd be interested to see what kind of reception he gets here actually. A few cheers.
Relatively muted. Brandon King will have the strike. And Archer up to him, right arm over and bowls full on the stumps, opening the face. Glances that, glides that down to deep third, where Phil Salt's doing the fielding. 26 for none. Charles up to 12.
He's really, really tight to the stumps there, Jofra Archer. Concerned he was going to knock those with his hand there and fall foul of the law that was made because of me.
One of those things that still rankles a bit.
Yep.
Archer close to the stumps again and backing away, dragging a pull shot across the line out to deep square leg is King. He's only getting a single because he didn't time it particularly well, and Livingston's out there at deep backward square. He's able to field that. 27 for none. What did you make of Roston Chase coming into the West Indies 11? I thought Shai Hope batted nicely the other night. He made sure the rate didn't dip when he came in, hit a couple of sixes, made 27 I think in quick time. Backing away here, carving it over backward point. Salt's running around the boundary, he slides and stops it, and then he might have just made a meal of that in the end, Phil Salt. I think he's given away 4. He saved it in the first place. King slashed it over backward point. Salt was further around at deep third, made up a lot of ground, got the slide in, tapped the ball, tapped it along the boundary line and ended up crawling after it and knocking it into the rope. So I think he's, in the end, just managed to keep it in.
That's a horrible feeling, that when you do the fielding, you think you've done a half-decent job, and then you see the ball just dribbling towards the boundary rope. It's definitely 4. He didn't manage to do it, but those frantic few steps when you see the ball just out of your reach, heading towards the boundary, you think, oh no. Big puff of sand as well when he dived there in the outfield, which is something for the bowlers to keep an eye on when they're diving around in the outfield.
They're still checking this, I'm not sure why, because he was lying on top of the ball while he was also lying on top of the rope, and then he said a word to himself very loudly that was easy to lip read. The umpire is still holding up Archer and finally now signalling 4. 31 for none. King up to 14. Archer bowls to him, pull shot, top edge, but it's going to clear mid-on, and it'll bounce once as it goes down the ground for 4. Again, that wasn't as timed as well as King could normally do, but 35 5 for none with the boundary there. 2 fours back to back.
Actually, the angle here of Archer, where he's bowling it in towards the right-handed King, he steps away to the leg side almost every delivery, but because Jofra Archer's natural shape is into him, it's sort of arcing into his swinging arc, which means he can just thrash it anywhere that he wants at the moment. I expect to see a change of pace here maybe from Jofra Archer.
King on 18 from 10. Archer bowling to him. He steps away again, just drives it to mid-on and goes with the shot for a single. 36 for none. 1 ball to come in the 4th. Charles back on strike on 13.
Yeah, leg cutter from Jofra Archer there. It's gone from 140 kilometres an hour to 123, so significant drop there. Just trying to not let these two batters just hit through the same pace of delivery all the time. It's the worst thing you can do in the power play, is just bowl the same pace. People get used to it and they can whack you. So Archer trying to be 1 step ahead, but the West Indies now building a bit of momentum at 36 for none.
Shifting the field around a bit. Adil Rashid's coming across to cover. Archer bowling and trying to uppercut is Charles, but he doesn't get that on ball, and it ends up with Joss Butler instead. 4 overs gone, 36 for none. So they're going at 9 and over, which is quick but not diabolical. This is an interesting contest so far. It's wrestled a bit one way and then the other. Topley a good first over. Wood decently. Topley then getting collected a couple of times. Archer getting hit for a couple of boundaries in that over. Another change of bats here. Had the runner on and off. It's the 2nd time already in the space of 4 overs. It's the non-striker, Charles, who's had his bat changed. Brandon King, who changed his bat earlier and immediately hit a massive 6 over the leg side. So Johnson Charles hoping he can do the same when he gets back on strike. It's going to be some bowling from Sam Curran. So 1 left armer replaced with another. 1 tall and lean and dark-haired. This one short and bustling and blonde. He's up bowling the King, who advances and carves him over slip for 4. They do have almost a fly slip. You could call it a short third, but quite finer than that position would normally be. Close to the edge of the circle. Wasn't able to do anything about that except spectate. The ball bounced 3 times before crossing the rope. 40 for none with that boundary. King's on 23. Curran starting just inside the fielding restrictions circle. Running up, bowling outside the off stump, driven down to mid-off hard for a run, and Johnson Charles falls over. Might be in some strife here. I think he's injured himself. So he drops as he hit the shot. I don't know if this is a muscle strain. It's Brandon King who's hit the deck. Charles now walking up to him to check on his batting partner.
Yeah, it didn't look good there, as he's advanced down the pitch towards Sam Curran, and as he's hit the ball, something's twisted. You can see him grimace in pain immediately. He's about 4 or 5 yards down the pitch towards Sam Curran there, but he's lying completely prone on his back now. It looks as though it might be his hip flexor up towards the hip bone on his left leg, but something's hurt him there. Brandon King, he doesn't look comfortable at all.
No, the first giveaway was that he had no interest in trying to come through for the single. He took the step after he hit the ball and immediately put his palm up to his partner and said, "I'm not going anywhere." Ended up sitting down and rolling onto his back. He's up on his feet now. He's got the medical staff out there with him, and both umpires milling around like hot pink traffic inspectors.
He also slid on his bum back towards his crease to make sure that England couldn't run him out as well, just in case. There's going to be a spirit of cricket question there as well.
If you're going to retire hurt, you want to make sure you get the not out.
Yeah.
So 40 for none in the 5th over, and we're having quite a lengthy delay here with this injury check. We've got a couple of runners out there. Got the team medical staff, and he's going to have to come off here. So Brandon King is retiring hurt on 23 from 13 balls. So it means he can come back and bat later in the innings if he's able to, if he's recovered sufficiently, or if West Indies are in trouble and they need him. But it's still a loss at this point because he was going nicely, striking at 177. What you want from your big hitting openers. So Charles still there on 13 at a run a ball.
Yeah, he looks in a lot of discomfort there actually, and almost just resigned immediately to trudging off the pitch after a little examination from the medical staff. But as you can hear by the cheers underneath my voice, that brings the hero of the other evening to the crease, which he batted with some fluency, didn't he? And England will be hoping he doesn't do the same again.
Nicholas Pooran was exceptional the other night. 98 off about 50 balls. He flayed them early in the power play. Slowed down for a bit through the middle overs when Nur Ahmad, the left-arm spinner, was doing his thing, and then came back with a bang at the end. 3 sixes in and over from Rashid Khan, who rarely gets that kind of treatment. Hit a lot of bombs, hitting sixes down the ground over mid-wicket. And he got his way up to 97. He was on strike. There were, I think, 3 balls to go in the match. Tried to come back for a second. Got the first of those runs. Was run out by a truly incredible direct hit right from the boundary, the cover boundary. Azmatullah Rahmanso pegged the stumps down, getting revenge for an over that he bowled that went for 36 when Pooran was on strike. So I don't know if the revenge made him feel that much better, Azmatullah, but better than nothing. 40 for none, and Pooran is on strike, and he's just getting in behind his first ball and happy to block that away down to mid-off. Sam Curran has a word before he turns to walk back to the top of his mark.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing for England. Clearly you never want to see someone leave the field of play injured, but King was lining Curran up. He'd sprinted at him the previous 2 deliveries, and now England have just bought themselves 1 delivery there with Pooran getting in behind and playing a solid classical forward defence.
I doubt we'll see too many more of those from Nicholas Pooran. As Curran is up to him now, and Pooran's driving, and it's just beating the outside edge. There was some swing through the air away from the left-hander. It's good shopping. Curran with 2 balls to come in the over. So he slashed away for 4 off the first ball, and there was the delivery facing which King got injured. Now Pooran's faced a couple of dots. So Curran recovering well so far. Bowls to Pooran, who drives off the outside edge and straight to short third, and again West Indies won't score. So from that first ball where it looked like this could be danger Will Robinson, suddenly this is looking like a good over for England with 1 ball to come.
Yep, slower ball by Curran there, flicked out the front of his hand, so it's still swung, but the seam sort of comes down like a bit of a moon ball, just wobbling around, and the ball still manages to move away. 113 kilometres an hour when he'd previously been at 132.
Curran to finish it off. Bowls to Pooran, who slices him away through the offside for 4. Well, he got away with a few, but eventually Nicholas Pooran's going to get you if he's there for long enough. 44 for none at the end of the 5th over, as Pooran saw width and sliced the bat through the wide line and sent it scything away through point. First runs for Nicholas Pooran, he's on 4. Johnson Charles is on 13. Brandon King has retired hurt, and after 5 overs, West Indies are 44 for none, going along at just about 9 and over, and Henry Moran's coming in to join Stephen Field. Yeah,
it's been a steady start, not the fireworks that we saw the other evening. The atmosphere is good inside the stadium. DJs and fine fettle with his tunes. Jofra Archer has the ball in his hand, and West Indies scored 92 off the power play a few days ago. They're only on 44 from 5 overs here.
Here comes Jofra Archer then, running in from the far end of the ground and sliced away in the air over the infield. And with a little puff of dust, the ball bounces out towards the Johnson Charles stand. It was a bit short, it was a bit wide, and it was easy pickings. And it must be a very pleasant feeling as a batter to be able to whack the ball towards the stand bearing your name.
There's not too many players. Let's say that the Virat Kohli Pavilion in Delhi, isn't there?
Yep.
There's not too many current players that have a stand named after them, so yeah, unique.
Here comes Archer, 4 from the first ball. And he's in, a bit straighter this time, that's better. It's pushed away into the offside. There's a police motorbike somewhere in the distance goes down one of the hills that surrounds this ground. You can see the buildings around it occasionally being illuminated blue by the lights on it. 48 without loss. Super 8 phases starting today. Victory earlier on for South Africa against the USA in Antigua. Here comes Jofra Archer once again, and nicely driven away. That's a good shot, opening the face of the bat, running it between backward point and short third. And it's 4 more to bring up the 50. 52 without loss midway through the 6th over.
Yeah, very nice shot, using the pace. Again, all the boundaries that he scored with positivity and clarity have been using the pace through the offside. So he checks his shot actually. You can see in between deliveries he's practicing hitting back over the bowler's head. But as the delivery is coming down, he gets into place and then just opens the face on it and runs it away. There's 3 fielders inside the circle behind square on the offside. He found the gap perfectly and got 4 runs.
Comes Archer, moving around in the crease and then defending is Charles, quite content just to pat the ball back towards the England fast bowler. Johnson Charles 21 from 17, and a total of 52 without loss. Intriguingly poised this game, and probably the one down with the retired hurt Brandon King. It would feel to me, I think that probably West Indies will just be the happier side. Here comes Archer, and swing and a miss. And that was lively. And he's just beginning to crank the pace up a little bit. As we head towards the end of the power play, I can see that Darren Sammy, after whom this ground is named, the West Indies coach, he was captain the last time that they won this tournament, indeed the 2 times in the 2010s that they lifted the trophy. 2012, they got their hands on the title. Darren Sammy was the captain on that occasion, and in 2016 as well. Here comes Jofra Archer, and looking to pull the ball. I think England will feel really hard done by there. Well, that is given wide, because he's taken a step across the batter, Johnson Charles, and it's gone exactly where he was standing. And as he took that step across, well, the ball has gone down the leg side. But I think if you're the fast bowler, you're thinking that's not very fair. 53 without loss. 1 ball to come from the 6th over. The power play over's almost done. As here comes Jofra Archer, and that's whipped away into the leg side, out towards the deep where Liam Livingstone, not showing any ill effects from that side trouble. Indeed, the bug that he reportedly had to miss training yesterday. And 6 overs are gone, 54 without loss. And as I mentioned, Darren Sammy and the success of West Indies in 2016, wouldn't you know who walks into the commentary box? Hello, Carlos Brathwaite.
Hello, Henry Moran. How are you?
I am very well. How good to see you. What a place we're in, and what an atmosphere.
Yeah, it's electric. If you come to play local cricket or regional, dare I say, CPL, Caribbean T20 when it was that, and you get the Johnson Charles stand as it is now, heaving, and the chanting, less favourable songs than Sweet Caroline. It's a very intimidating place to play.
3rd over for Reece Topley, bowling to Johnson Charles. That's too wide. He's just not had his line right so far. Topley, a few down the leg side. That one speared away across the right hand. A 55 without loss. Who's on top here then?
I think it's fairly even. Brandon King going out was a blow. They set the power play up so nicely to be able to capitalise in overs 5 and 6. And unfortunately, that broke the momentum a bit.
Here comes Topley. Oh, it's a low full toss. It's a loopy ball with a attempted slower ball going a little bit wrong. And had he picked that up, Johnson Charles, well, that corrugated iron roof above his stand would have been taking a hammering, I imagine. 56 without loss, but sort of 56 for 1 with the retired hurt.
But I would say anytime you get out of the power play without loss, the batting team you'd have to say is in the ascendancy, especially when you can reach 50 plus. So I'd have to say West Indies, nose is just in front.
Particularly while this man's still in the middle, Nicholas Pooran, 98, forgive me, the other night. It was 92 from the power play that West Indies scored, but he personally, 98, just falling short of 100, run out. Here comes Reece Topley, that's a good ball, hostile, threatening the top of off stump. And so far in the over, wide, 1 dot. So England going with the approach. Normally you see Adil Rashid straight into the attack after the 6th.
Yeah, but it seems as though a plan and a ploy to attack Pooran with pace. There's a graphic going around about his average versus speeds of 140 plus, and it's down at 21.
Here comes Topley to bowl to Pooran, who's slicing the ball away out towards deep cover. It won't be more than just a single there. Phil Saltfield's in front of the boundary, and it's a slightly safer situation for a fielding side once you get out of the 6th over, because you can have 5 outside the circle, so that might have been 4 runs in the first stages of this game, but it's only a single. 57 without loss. Interesting, there was a bit of a cheer for Jofra Archer. It wasn't quite as strong a reaction as we saw in Barbados. Here comes Topley, that's a good ball right on the toes of Charles, who got a single out to deep middle wicket. 58 without loss. There was a really positive reaction in Barbados.
No, he's well loved. He plays the cricket the way that Caribbean people play cricket. A lot of expression. He enjoys himself. You see him warming up, bowling some left arm spin. We play some club cricket, and he was only allowed to bowl 1 day in the weekend. So Saturday or Sunday we choose the tougher opposition. The day that we had the lesser opposition and they were 9 down, he bowled some left arm spin and got the last wicket.
Here comes Reece Topley, short, pulled away, out towards the deep. A lot of work for the fielders to do running round. He's not going to stop it. And the ball races away for a boundary, sat up invitingly, and Pooran punished it. 62 without loss.
Yeah, you can see what England want to do. They're attacking him with pace, attacking him at length. Mid-on and mid-off is up. The wicket has good true bounce. So it means that he knows what's coming, essentially. There's not much swing on off, and now the ball being close to 7 overs old. So he can stand and he can deliver. It'll be interesting to see when they get that fine leg up and get that long on back and give him a chance to bowl different lengths.
It's a slip in place as Topley bowls. It's in the air just past the fielder at short cover. They'll turn for a second run that isn't there, so the over comes to an end with 9 from it. Reece Topley's bowled 3 overs, none for 26 so far. Archer's been expensive, 2 overs, none for 21. And is this the moment that England do turn to spin? No, because Mark Wood is handing his cap to Jos Buttler, to the umpire in conversation with Jos Buttler, I should say. 63 without loss. So he's got quite handy with his left arm spin. Archer, he's quite effective. You see him when he's warm up, he's quite good.
Yeah, but I asked him not to do it. Don't play with the cricket gods. Do not bowl it. Do not bowl it. And him and the skipper went against my better judgment, and there was a little bit of fun. And I was telling one of the youngsters, why block? I would have ran down the wicket, had a mighty old swing, and I would have told all my friends I hit Jofra Archer for 4.
Yeah.
Didn't have to include context. No one needs to know he's bowling left arm spin.
So does he still have that aura?
Yeah, 100%. When it comes to training on evenings, everyone asking him questions, and that's what I loved about him. He's still so humble that he can come back to club cricket in Barbados and offer of his services and his knowledge at training, and he doesn't go easy on you in that either. So it gives the guys in the team a chance to really know where the game is at, facing someone like Joff, who a month later will be playing in a World Cup.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal talent. That's why England have invested so much time and effort to get him back playing. Here comes Mark Wood running in from the far end. Oh, it's gone big into the leg side. It's going to be 6. Right into Nicholas Pooran-Tark. And a ball goes sailing away into a sea of enthusiastic, deliriously excited West Indies supporters. 69 without loss. Mark Wood under pressure.
Just like one of the best ball strikers, one of the most pure swings in the game. Everything just looks effortless, looks so calculated. That's gone 95 meters. And he hasn't even broken a sweat. Look at him, just absolutely sensational. And he can do it back to back to back, whether pace, whether spin.
Comes Mark Wood once again over the wicket. Oh, that's quick. Swing and a miss. Goes fizzing on through to the gloves of Buttler at around about 150 kilometres an hour. And Pooran takes a little step to the leg side to reconsider things, because that was a serious bit of heat on that one. Mark Wood likes this ground. It's a different format, but 5 years ago he took 5 for 41 in what was one of the great spells of fast bowling. It wasn't a surface that was conducive to his line of work, really, but bowled brilliantly that day in that Test match.
Still hear boys talk about facing him in that Test match.
In comes Wood again, and another ball that beats the edge of Pooran's bat. This is a good recovery from Wood, 69 without loss. Quicker again, 147, 149, 150 flicks. It's into the 90s miles an hour wise, but that is remembered here as well.
Yeah, a lot of boys talk about it being the fastest spell they would have faced, and there are a lot of bowlers that bowl quick balls, quick deliveries, the odd quick delivery in the over, odd couple, but they were talking about him charging in ball after ball, over after over, and just being really uncomfortable.
He turns again at the far end. Pavilion behind him, running into Bolton Nicholas Pooran, and it's swatted away into the leg side without really any timing at all. Curran will sprint in for the backward square leg boundary to pick up 70 without loss.
I think he's decided this is a matchup he wants. He's going with the wind to the leg side, and I think anything that comes straight, whether it be short or full, he's going to have a right hack. And the one ball that was outside the off stump, a little flare and a miss, a little less convinced, trying to go against the pace, a lot squarer. He's looking to go straight, mid-on and mid-off is up, or pick it up over the leg side to the Johnson-Charles stand.
No spin so far from England, with 2 balls from the end of the 8th over. Topley, Wood, Archer and Curran have been England's attack so far. Mark Wood running in towards us, sprinting to bowl to the right-handed Charles, and that goes down the leg side. That'll be wide. There'll be applause as Joss Butler. It's another run onto the total, 71 without loss.
But I think they're probably using Adil, or will think about using Adil Rashid as a wicket taker. You have Robin Powell, Sherfain Rutherford, Andre Russell, Romario Shepherd, 3 right-handers, not the best players of spin. So instead of using him that normal 7 to 15 for his 4, you'll probably see him bowling 2 at the back end.
71 without loss. Penultimate ball of the 8th over, and comes Mark Wood once again, giving himself a lot of space, taking that step to the leg side. He's followed by Wood and gets a single out towards the deep where it's Harry Brook running in front of the party stand, and it is sub-party in there as well. I went for a little wander in there the other day during the Afghanistan game. Quite a lot of bottles of rum were being handed around.
I could only imagine.
This is not something that you see in England, certainly.
And not cups of rum.
No.
Not cups. Bottles.
And not small bottles, you're talking the 2 litre.
The small bottle would be chaser. So probably a little tiny Coke, tiny ginger ale, but a massive bottle of rum.
It's not a rum and coke, it's a coke and rum, isn't it? It's just the most amazing place to watch cricket, and the whole ground reverberates to those big speakers at the front too. In comes Mark Woods, big swing and a miss with the pace taken off it, and that's good bowling. It was right down in terms of speed. Everything else was 150 kilometres an hour, or thereabouts in the over. And that was pace off. A decent over after that 6. 9 from it, 8 gone, 72 without loss. A very good early morning to James Strong, who emails tms@bbc.co.uk to say, I'm wide awake and sure of by the sea. Please, England, make it worth this night vigil. Because it is late or early, depending which way you look at it, coming up to 2:15. If you want to tell us how you're staying awake, why you might be awake, you might be at work, you might be feeding the newborn, whatever it might be, let us know, tms@bbc.co.uk. Here comes Adil Rashid, then the leg spinner, into the attack. England's record-breaking T20 wicket taker. And he's had a decent tournament with one standout day, 5 wickets, but 4 of them came in the one game against Oman. But he's sort of bowler that really, you know what you're getting. He's reliable. He's just very, very good at what he does. 72 without loss. He's bowling to the right-handed Johnson-Charles, and right on the money immediately. Back to the bowler it goes. This will be an interesting battle, this, Carlos.
Yeah, interesting passage of play. Saw 92 off the power play against Afghanistan, but the way Nicholas Pooran and Shea Hope then consolidated did not allow Noor Ahmed or Rashid Khan to get into the game. I want to say they're going to take a similar approach with Adil Rashid.
Comes Adil Rashid outside the off stump, drilled down the ground towards Brook below us at wide long off, 73 without loss.
And the only difference is then they had 92 8.2 in the power play. I mean, to be fair to them, it's 73 and 8.2, which isn't exactly a bad start by any stretch of imagination. I'm just wondering if they'll go the approach of trying to take him down, knowing that if they do, you're forcing Moeen Ali to bowl to the right-hander, hitting towards the short side, or if they're going to happy to milk him and try to get 24, 26 off his 4.
Pooran gets a googly, sets off for a single, and it isn't there because Adil Rashid runs to his left to pick up 73 without loss. Just one from the first 3 balls of this 9th over. Current projection, if they go at this rate, and they'll want to up it a bit, it'll be 172 for West Indies. I think England would take that every day of the week.
Yeah, not enough. Definitely not enough, especially with this start and the power you have in your hat. Have to be looking more towards 190.
Here's Adil Rashid. Pooran thought about winding up, but hitting towards the long side, decides against it, just taps down the ground for a single. Bird flies in front of our commentary box. There's a sort of light brown coloured pigeon that spends its time in this part of the world. I don't know what it's slightly prettier than our pigeons. And it looks a bit happier, and I suppose you would be, wouldn't you, in this sort of climate?
If Alison Mitchell is listening, she'll be thinking another can of worms open.
Here comes Rashid. Oh, it's a beauty. Turning sharply. And this surface is not one that necessarily has offered that much to the spin bowlers, but that's a fine piece of bowling.
Yeah, this is what we know he can do. A little bit of drift into the right-hander, nice loop, and then just dipping and spinning away past the upside edge.
Adil Rashid again to conclude an excellent over. This is whipped away into the leg side to the right of Sam Curran, who picks up on the bounce. It'll just be the 1, and the first over goes. With 3 from it, Carlos Brathwaite, lovely to have you with us. You're going to have a little break. Carlos, hero for West Indies in 2016. I imagine there is not a bar or restaurant that won't buy Carlos a drink in this part of the world. And Stephen Finn comes back to join us once again. Brilliant over that from Adil Rashid. Where do you see things? 75 without loss, but the 1 retired hurt. 9 overs gone.
I think England will be the happier of the 2 teams at the moment. It's curious that given the power that West Indies have in the hutch, and still 11 overs left to go, which is a long time clearly, but they've not really looked to attack in the last couple of overs, have they? I think the things might change though. Moeen Ali coming into the attack, and with the right-handers hitting with the spin to an off-spinner, you'd anticipate Johnson Charles trying to whack it, because at the moment he has 27 from 26 on a very good pitch.
So Moeen Ali into the attack. Looking in towards us past the umpire. It's a quicker ball first up. Tuck into the surface, tap down the ground for a single to get Pooran onto strike. Now this is going to be an interesting contest. I think if I was in that stand to our right, the Johnson Charles stand, though it is turning away from the left-hander, I fancy that he might be lining this up.
Yeah, he's in a bit of form, isn't he, from the other evening? That brilliant 98 he scored. He's faced 15 balls now as well, so just about have his eyes in. You just wonder whether the pitch might be a bit slower than the other evening.
Here's Moeen round the wicket to the left-handed Pooran, who gets a ball which is sliced away behind square on the offside. Work to do for the fielder in the deep, who'll run round. It's Livingston out there, single taken. 77 without loss. Sarah emails and says, staying awake is easy for me. It's only 9:15 here in upstate New York. Listening via the ICC. I don't have to worry about sleep quite yet. Here is Moeen Ali, into bowl to Johnson Charles, gets a bit of a tangle, but gets a single down the ground for the first time tonight. There's just a dip in the music, and that'll please Richard, who emails to say, I'm trying to listen, but struggling with the noise from the music overpowering things. To be honest, there's not an awful lot. We'll turn it down as much as you can, but it is just very noisy.
Regulations haven't found their way to the West Indies.
In comes Moeen. Pooran tickles the ball into the onside, sprinting in with his head bowed as Phil Salt, bearded figure. They'll push for a second, throw comes in and hits. That's the noise you can hear, that crunch. But they do get 2. Good running, 80 without loss.
Yeah, speakers in the West Indies that we've encountered so far in the 3 islands, Barbados, Antigua and St. Lucia, they have a setting of 100
TV
or 0.
Director will have an umpire review for run out at the bowler's end. Can I have the side on replay, please?
I think this feels optimistic. But they've got to check it.
Yeah, hopefully it's a quick one. I think he was almost past the stumps by the time that hit the stumps.
I can see the batter has made his ground as the ball's bits are taken off. Satisfying. My decision for the big screen
is going to be not out. Last 3 overs, by the way. They've only been going at 3.6 and over. England are really hauling things back. Here's Moeen. Tempting fate here, perhaps. No, pushing into the offside. Pushing for a single is Poorat. He moves to 22, 81 without loss. Ball left of the 10th. So these speakers...
Well, there's just one setting, isn't there? It's very, very loud or off. There's no in between. So you try and hold a conversation, and all of a sudden, someone's wheeled a humongous speaker into your ear, and you can't hear what anyone's saying. So yeah, that would be the reason why it's impossible to turn it down.
Right then, here comes Moeen. Over the wicket to bowl to Charles, who just gently slices the ball out towards deep backward point. The over comes to an end, 7 from it. 81 without loss is the score. And the over comes to an end. 10 overs gone, 82 without loss. David Marshall, really enjoying the cricket commentary on my night shift. Euros commentary when I get to work. Cricket commentary in the early hours makes my shift pass a treat. It's going to be very boring when the cricket comes to an end. I like this from Andrew Pyatt as well. Listening on the beach in Ibiza. Of all things, I wonder if you're the only person on the beach in Ibiza.
What time is it?
Yeah, it must be 3:15.
Yeah.
There you go.
You've had a good crack at it if you're on the beach now.
Fair play. Hello from the coast of Fiji. As Gary Russell gets in touch. He set off from St Lucia last January on a 15-month round-the-world voyage. How good is that, Gary? Thank you very much.
Solo voyage? I'd like to know more about that. Tell us more, Gary.
So, Ravi says, I broke my front door this evening. I can't lock it, so I'm staying up enjoying the cricket to pass the time until I can get it fixed in the morning. Right, Jeff Lemon, resplendent in all the colours you could wish. It's like he's been raiding Henry Blofeld's wardrobe. 82 without loss, 10 overs gone. Stephen Finn, some more from you as the light show begins here in St Lucia.
Yeah, there's deluged into complete darkness here, and everyone in the stands has been asked to put their phone torches on and wave them around. It's quite a sight. Some batters in the World Cup in India who had to encounter these light shows were pretty grumpy because your eyes have to adjust to the light, so it's complete darkness there. There's flashes of pink going round on the LED screens around the side of the ground, and everyone's got their phones out. Even the floodlights are flashing to the tune. Now it's completely dark again, but it takes your eyes time to adjust. So facing 90 miles an hour after being part of a light show like this can't be easy.
Well, exactly that. We saw Glenn Maxwell during that World Cup covering his eyes with his batting gloves, kind of almost kneeling down and putting his head between his legs and just trying to block out all of the light that he could during the light show so that he could go back after the break and continue hitting. I think that was in Delhi where he made 100 off 40-odd balls, so he's obviously seeing them okay after the break. But it seems to just be part of the furniture these days. Good to hear somebody listening in via the ICC website. That's something you can let people know if they don't know that. If you're in Australia, you'd be listening on the ABC app. If you're in the UK, you'd be listening through the BBC website or app or whatever it might be. It was Rob McKinlay, was it, who was on the ICC? Oh, we've got Rob McKinlay's just written in, TMS listening to Henry and Finney. It's morning for me. I'm up having breakfast as I'm off to drive a bus in Brighton at 4:30 a.m. Enjoy the game and the commentary. Personally, I love the music. There we go. There's always somebody who's got a different opinion. Here's Rashid tossing one up and trying to slam it across the line as Charles out to deep mid-wicket. Can't get hold of it. But yes, if you're not in Australia or the UK, you can let people know this. They can go to the ICC website, go to the match centre for the current game, and there's a little player there, a little play button. You hit that and you can listen to us in just about any country around the world now. Tosses it up, and this one has gone. Now that ball ain't coming back. Over wide, long on. It drops into the crowd down there, just near one of the concession stands. There's a blue tent where they're handing over something across counters. And the cricket ball just about dropped into the serving area. 88 for none with the 6. Charles up to 36.
Yeah, it was loopy from Adil Rashid. You felt as though it was a matter of time before one of these batters did try to play an aggressive shot and put the pressure back on Adil Rashid. There's so much power to come in this West Indies lineup, and the lowest total of all the games that we've seen so far at this ground this year is 180. So on their current course, they're only making 170. So they need to get their skates on.
Yep.
That's the first sign of intent, but that ball went up out of Adil Rashid's hand, gave him the opportunity to step towards it and whack it.
Rashid tries again, and he spears it through much flatter and much wider, and it's too wide, says the umpire. It's outside the blue lines, as Rashid was trying to tempt Charles into doing something reckless, trying to drag it across to leg or chase it outside the off stump. 89 for none with the extra. Rashid goes straighter this time and just goes onto the back foot as Charles and plays a dinky little pull shot down to mid-on. It stops inside the circle, and Curran has to come all the way up from long on to field. 90 for none as they take a single. Charles up to 37. He's taken 32 balls to do it, so that's pretty slow for T20 style. Strike rate of 115. Puran going at 122, so they're both well below their ceilings. Rashid bowls a wrong and it's cut by Puran out to deep point. He wants the second. He's taking on the throw, hustling back, and he will make it this time. Having been run out here a couple of days ago, he knows when he can get back for 2. 92 for none. Puran up to 24. But with all these wickets in hand, Stephen, we know that Brandon King probably won't come back, but they've still got the power, the depth that they're hitting. It's a bit surprising that they haven't been more aggressive at this point.
Yeah, it is curious, especially the way that we saw them play the other evening against Afghanistan. It really was 100 miles an hour right from the very beginning of the innings, but you've got to try and put some degree of pressure back on the bowlers. That's the reason England wanted to bowl first, was that they felt as though this was a brilliant ground for chasing. So West Indies will need plenty of runs.
Puran tapping the bat. 2 balls to come. In the over, Rashid, leg spinner, right arm over, in at the toes, and it's turned away behind square for 1. Another single. So after Mark Wood got clobbered for that huge 6 over the leg side, that was first ball of the over. The next 5 balls of that over only conceded 3 runs. Then Moeen bowled an over for 3, then Rashid bowled an over for 7. So there's been a slow period through the middle. This over has gone for 11 so far with a ball to come. The overall West Indies run rate only at 8.5 as Rashid bowls, and just going back to flick it across the line and get a single is Charles to take his score to 38. He'll keep the strike. Puran's on 25. 94 for none. And with 9 overs to go, the hammer has to drop at some point.
He's got the double teapot there, Adil Rashid. He's disappointed that he floated that one up and gave Charles the opportunity to just step towards it and whack it over wide long on. Every other delivery that over was fired in out the front of his hand. The slider that slid on outside the off stump, and then leg spinners that were just holding slightly in the pitch and making it the batters wary enough of that movement so that they didn't try and thrash it through the leg side. He'll be wary not to loop one up again, I think.
Moeen in and bowling, and that is flat, and it's clobbered, but it's high. It could be caught at long on. Coming under it, the catch is taken down the ground by Harry Brook, who claims it safely just inside the rope. That went very high into the sky, and it nearly carried down there, but Brook, with his heels on the line just about, was able to take the catch. So Johnson Charles falls, caught by Brook off Moeen for 38 from 34. A curious sort of innings for a T20 opener. We're in the 12th over, and the first wicket has officially fallen, although Brandon King's off the field injured. So effectively, West Indies 2 down for 94.
Yeah, it was good bowling by Moeen. It was out and quick towards the wide line. I think he knew that Charles would have been frustrated with how his innings has been going and would have been looking to target him as an off spinner, with the ball turning back into the right-hander. So he's fired it in across an outside off stump, and Johnson Charles has taken the bait there in a premeditated slog towards the leg leg side, could only catch the toe end of the bat, and it was a good catch by Harry Brook. He'd have had to be wary of where that boundary sponge was behind him. You clearly don't want to step on that as you're catching the ball, so he had to track that over his left shoulder. He watched the ball all the way into his hands. He caught it in front of his eyes with his fingers facing down, classic style, and took a very safe catch there. They're not easy when they go that high up into the night sky. England take their first genuine wicket, and one that they'll be happy to have got.
94 for 1. Rovman Powell has come in, so a change to the listed batting order. Austin Chase was supposed to be batting here at number 4. But it'll be Powell, who's a more aggressive striker, although Chase was pretty aggressive in the hit that he had earlier in this tournament. I think it was PNG in the first game where he made important runs. Made them in attacking fashion. Powell will be here. He battered a few deliveries the other night.
He's got his trousers tucked into his socks, old school.
Oh.
You don't see that frequently anymore, but black socks with maroon trousers tucked into them.
Moeen bowls to Rovman Powell, wide of the off stump and slow, and he cuts it into the ground, straight at cover, and won't get a run. So England doing this really well at this stage. They've got the West Indies run rate down to just above 8, which would be well underclubbed if that persisted through the innings. Moeen outside the off stump, left alone by Powell. That is curious in the 12th over of a T20 international. So wicket, ... the over so far. Moeen Ali up and outside the off stump and driven away for a single behind point. Powell gets his first run and gets off strike. Nicholas Pooran will need to reach into that bag of tricks. We saw him hit Rashid Khan rather, for 3 sixes in an over a couple of nights ago against Afghanistan. Needs to do something similar against Adil Rashid here. But he's got Moeen Ali first up, who will come around the wicket to the left-hander. So we've got a right-arm off-spin bowler. Turning the ball into the left-hander if there is any turn. There isn't much. It's just going on with the angle of the arm and tapped away into the leg side, and Moeen sprinting after it himself to the edge of the circle. There's almost a chance for a run out as they started taking off for a second run and then thought better of it. 96 for 1.
That was nimble fielding by Moeen Ali there, sprinting, and in one fell swoop slid around the right-hand side of the ball on his left hip and did a West Indian style, a Caribbean throw. It's like a hard underarm back towards the stumps where Markwood collected and stopped the second.
Moeen in to bowl to Rovman Powell, who clears the front leg, slams him down the ground. It's high, it's got the distance. Long off is back. But that goes, did that go into the second tier of the pavilion? Just about. Cleared the big black sight screens down there and might have gone into the second deck. 102 for 1. There's triple figures up for West Indies. They're going at 8.5 and over. They still need to boost that if they want to really compete in this game. But Powell gets his first 6. He's faced 4 balls for his 7 runs, and Nicholas Pooran on 26 from 21. 12 overs gone, 102 for 1.
Yeah, it's a biggie from Rovman Powell. Again, Moeen looking to go quick and full outside the off stump. But it's just within Rovman Powell's swinging arc. He puts his toes on off stump as well to try and make sure that he reaches that delivery. Out there, he stands, steps towards it. He's such a strong man, well-built man. He muscles that miles over the ropes into that blue seating above the sight screen.
So here is Adil Rashid in over the wicket, spearing it through to the left-handed Pooran. Punches it off the back foot, wide of long off. Coming into field is Curran. They'll get 1 run, 103 for 1. Pooran up to 27. He might just try to feed Powell the strike here. See if Rovman Powell can take apart the spinners.
He took down Rashid Khan the other day, didn't he? Nicholas Pooran. I know that was later on in the innings when he had to swing at everything, but clearly he has it in his locker to take down leg spinners.
I think it was the 17th or 18th over.
18th, I think, yeah.
Here's Adil Rashid, and on the front foot, Powell is blocking it respectfully and ending up on one knee, as if offering his complete deference to the bowler.
He's one of my favourite players, actually, Rovman Powell. I love his interviews. He's got an amazing voice. He's got a lovely manner. and he whacks it miles. What's not to like?
Rashid up and bowling and sweeping, struck on the pad. They're going for it. It was sliding on towards the stumps. Adil Rashid didn't like it as much as Joss Buttler did. That appeal. They have a little chat. They're still having a chat. Bairstow's popped in there. Rashid's talking about the height of the ball. Butler's looking around, and eventually he says, tea time. Let's go upstairs and have ourselves a look. So at 103 for 1, with a retired Hurt in there as well.
TV umpire to director, we have a player
wicket.
review for LBW. On-field decision was not out. I've checked the fit placement. It's a fair delivery. Front on first, please.
Here the third umpire there, going through his paces, following the script. Rashid with that ball pitching. It was a leg break. It did turn straight and down the line.
Ball
hit him on the
passes close to the
forearm,
gloves.
fancy.
I'm going to need to check with
Has a
Altoids,
sweep
please.
at it. Just Powell. I think it misses.
Keep rolling.
The glove. There's a wobble on the DRS, but that's before the ball has even reached the bat. It might just be a
roll
little
back.
top edge there.
Roll back. Yeah, roll up from behind the ball before it reaches the bat. Now roll back.
So just trying to line up
Keep
the
rolling.
two frames here.
Roundings. Fill a gap. Keep rolling.
Looks like
You can
there's
see a gap on the
tiny-
right hand side. Yeah, roll it through.
There's a tiny
Satisfied,
burble on the
no
bat,
bat
but on the
involved.
other frame it
Ball
looks
ready
like the
when
ball
it's
has
ready, please.
missed. You can see space between ball and bat at the point that there's a burble on the sound wave technology. So they've decided there is no bat involved. It's hit him on the forearm, just in front of off stump. The
Pitching
impact's
line,
just
impact
outside the
umpire's
line,
call,
and the
wicket
ball's
missing.
carrying on
Nathan
over the
will
top
be
of the
staying
bails.
with your not
So
out
Powell,
decision.
after
Stand
a
by.
long investigation,
You're on
survives.
screen signal now.
Still a dot ball. Adil Rashid bowling well here. Single, dot, dot, halfway through this 13th over. England continuing this slowdown of West Indies. Rashid, flight, and going onto the back foot. He pulls it, Powell, down the ground for 1. Still can't break free, 104 for 1.
So we've had a reply from Gary, who is on his boat going around the world. I wonder whether he was on his own. No, I'm not alone on the good ship Skylark 2. There's 8 of us, led by Dan and Em, our skippers. We're a multinational crew with 2 Americans who've I've been getting into cricket by the USA making the Super 8s.
Rashid up and bowling to Puran, who just stabs the ball off his pads for 1 to short fine leg. Again, no intent to attack the bowling. 1 ball to come in the over. West Indies run rate's down to 8.1.
Just a shame no cricket to see when we hit Australia in August. We're part of the World ARC rally cruising around the world on a lovely 60-foot yacht. Give us a wicket, Finney.
Well, he'll do what he can from up here, but it's thoughts and prayers stuff from our perspective. Adil Rashid in and darts it through and going back, wanting to pull initially and then deciding to cut. Powell forces it back down the ground. The ball ends up at mid-off, which is a strange place for it to go when you're pulling or cutting, but that's how it panned out. 106 for 1 after 13 overs. 8.1 and over. That's not going to cut it. 7 overs to go. What can they do here? You would think by this point, if a wicket falls, Andre Russell comes in next.
Maybe not just yet. I don't think they'll wait for him to come in when the seamers are bowling. I think whilst Adil Rashid still has an over to go, I don't think they'll send Russell in. He can be so dangerous in those last 3 or 4 overs, his ability to just clear the ropes right from the very beginning. There's still time, but England at the moment are doing an excellent job at restricting this run rate. The only thing they're not doing alongside that is taking wickets, and if you have 2 in batters in at the end, it can cause problems.
106 for 1 here. Got an email in from Alex saying that waking up was the issue here as we're rolling down the east coast of Australia. The music from the ground along with the coffee is what's helping me wake up. Well, we hope you stay awake there, Alex. It can be a long drive, as Sam Billings found out when he had to drive the length of the country a couple of years ago.
Wasn't that to make his test debut as well?
That's right. To become cap 700 for England. Here goes Curran, and he's bowling from the media centre end and getting Rovman Powell in a tangle. The ball hits his pad as Powell tries to play across the line. So what is going on out there? It's doesn't seem like it should be appreciably more difficult to bat than it was 2 nights ago.
I'm just wondering whether Rovman Powell said that they wet it and rolled it in between games, and sometimes when they do that it can just become a bit tacky on the top layer, which is why maybe the West Indies are being a bit more wary, but they're 1 down, 7 overs to go with power in the hutch. Play some shots.
Curran up to Powell, who does play a shot here. Pull shot, huge! That has gone onto the hill, and it is densely packed out there, let me tell you. I don't know if that ball found a gap to drop into. I just hope that people got out of the way. That was meaty. 112 for 1. Powell's up to 15.
Yeah, calling for some intent, and there it is, Sam Curran looking to mix his length up and not be predictable, but these boundaries here are not huge at all, and Rovman Powell not scared by the pace. 136 kilometres an hour, early 80s. Can just get underneath that one out the middle of the bat. Those big shoulders give it that extra bit of carry up onto the party hill.
It was the swivel of the hips. That was a genuine baseball swing. The way you see that drive through the hips that hit over left field. Curran pitches up. It's a low full toss in the end. It's driven down to long off for 1. Powell to 16. Pooran on 28. He's had a muted sort of night. That one huge 6. That was the one of Mark Wood, wasn't it, that Pooran struck? 28 from 23.
Yeah, big clip up over the leg side, wasn't it? It was almost identical to the one that David Warner clipped Mark Wood in his opening over in Barbados that we saw full straight and just used the pace and went absolutely miles. There have been some big hits so far this evening. West Indies, I feel, need a few more.
113 for 1. They're at 8.3 and over. 6.5 overs to go. Curran waving his arms around like one of those inflatable humanoid figures outside the car wash. Trying to get his field right. He's got deep backward point now. They've brought up a player from behind square leg inside the circle. Curran bowls and Pooran hits it straight past that man short to backward square leg, who's just come up, and Phil Salt has to track back to the boundary to retrieve the ball that's gone for 4. So Pooran playing cat and mouse with the field. 117 for 1 as he goes to 32.
Yeah, Sam Curran aiming at the wide line there. The fielders telegraphed that that's the plan. There's a deep backward point, deep extra cover, a square cover, a third inside the circle. That field has now changed. The deep backward point's coming up and the deep backward square leg's coming in, but Pooran just put his foot all the way across towards the wide line and swept Sam Curran towards deep backward square leg.
So they've changed the field back the other way now, and Curran bowls short, slower ball into the surface. Works this time because Pooran pulls but gets a bottom edge. And the ball goes absolutely nowhere. No run, 117 for 1.
Yeah, I feel as though he's missed out a bit there, Pooran. It was very short by Sam Curran. Back of the hand slower ball, that's something he's added to his game. It's one of the impressive things about Curran is that he looks to evolve. He didn't have a great time of it out here in December. He's developed this back of the hand slower ball to try and help him have an extra bit to his bowling, or an extra skill there to try and fox the batters.
Curran finishes over, and a big drive from Pooran. He's furious. He couldn't make contact. Butler takes behind the stumps, and Pooran shakes his head savagely. He's annoyed. It's not coming easily. The other night, 98 off 50-odd deliveries. And it's easy to say, oh, it's just Afghanistan. Well, they're a very good bowling side. They've got a lot of options, a lot of variety. Pooran still took them down. Everybody except Noor Ahmad, the 20-year-old left-arm wrist spinner. Tonight he's struggled a fair bit more. 32 off 26, 3 4s and a 6 for Pooran. West Indies 117. They're going at 8.3 still.
Interesting move by Jos Buttler here as well. Liam Livingstone is coming into the attack. Adil Rashid is being held back. We just saw pictures and images of Andre Russell in the dugout looking very chilled. I'd imagine as soon as pictures and images of Andre Russell in the dugout looking very chilled. I'd imagine as soon as he's called to the crease, as long as it's not the 19th or 20th over, Jos Buttler's just holding Adil Rashid back for when Russell comes to the crease, because he struggles against that leg spin. So getting another over of spin out of Liam Livingstone, who's very capable. It's not his main skill. His main skill is whacking the ball out the park with the bat, but a very good spinner to have up your sleeve for Jos Buttler. A mixture of leg breaks and off breaks.
Usually bowls the leg breaks to the right-handers, but he's just driving one into the pitch here, and it's pulled away out to deep mid-wicket. Should be a couple. They will come back for the second. They'll have to be quick, and they just make it. Powell got back comfortably. It was Pooran running to the danger end, the non-striker's end. 119 for 1. As Powell goes up to 18, Sherfane Rutherford is warming up. He's down by the fence at the far end of the ground where the dugouts are. There's Rutherford doing all of his stretches and so on, so maybe he's due to come in. Yeah, and they will probably utilise the right-left-hand partnerships here as well, because we do have a strong breeze pumping one way and a short boundary the other. So if you keep that right-left partnership through to the end of the innings, now it means that you'll always be able to take advantage of those things. So Livingston being held up because the bails have blown off at the non-striker's end. Ready to go now, Liam Livingston, and he's bowling a leg break, and it's slammed down the ground. It's coming to us in the commentary box. It lands just in front, hits the building and bounces back to hit one of the temporary fences in front of the sight screen, and a cat goes tearing out of the way as a couple of different security staff come out to retrieve the ball. A little white cat goes sprinting across the ground. There are quite a few cats that live in this ground. If you wander around, we've been spotting them over the last few days. So that's another mighty hit from Rovman Powell, who's hit 3 sixes and he's yet to hit a 4. He's on 24 from 13.
Looks like this might be the over that they've chosen. Liam Livingston called into the attack. Rovman Powell wearing his cap, which is another endearing feature, going after it.
Livingston bowls loopy, and he's gone after it again. He's skied it, but it's got enough distance. It just carries the rope down at long off. And in any case, the fielder in the deep was a bit too wide, Brooke. He had a fair bit of room, a fair bit of distance he had to make up to come around. And even if he had been standing straighter, that ball would have just cleared him a fancy. 131 for 1. Back-to-back sixes for Powell. He's up to 30 from 14. 3 balls to come. They might buy a wicket with Livingston here, but Butler will be remembering Will Jacks against Australia. Part-time spinner getting pummeled. Livingston bowls short. It might have been deliberate just to stop Powell from getting under it. Powell cuts it, but hits it straight to Rashid at backward point. There's no run. 14 off the over so far. 2 balls to come. Livingston with flight, and he goes again across the line, down the ground, and it's carried again. It drops just in front of the sight screen this time. The cat is nowhere to be seen. It's retreated to safer pastures. But there's nowhere for Liam Livingston to hide. He's still got a ball to come. The over's gone for 20.
Yep, this is not good for England. They've been excellent up until this point. Joss Butler has his glove in front of his face as if he's pondering what's happening here. He's got his head looking at the ground now as well. But 20 off this over, the West Indies have all the momentum.
Livingston, and an outside edge will result in a wicket, caught at short thirds. So they've got something from the over, but it's cost them dearly. Mark Wood takes the catch low to the ground, and Rovman Powell departs. West Indies have hitters to come and 5 overs left to face, so this might not work against them in the end. Livingston gets a wicket, and his night, I'm pretty sure, will end at 1 for 20 off 1 over, although we are going to have a third umpire's check for the lone catch.
Your best angle for the catch, please.
Powell's almost left the ground. He's walked all the way down to the boundary, and he's probably just going to stalk off, and the England team have all gathered, so they think it's fine. He punches gloves with
the fielder has taken
Rutherford, who's going to come in.
Ball into the hands, and the fingers are still underneath.
It doesn't even matter. Powell's left the field to play. So
catch, satisfied. My decision for the big screen is...
Well, it's going to be out, and there it is. There's not much of a response to that from the West Indies crowd. So Pooran at the crease on 32 from 26 balls, 5 overs to go. West Indies technically 137 for 2, although Brandon King has retired hurt and presumably won't come back. Stephen Finn to take you home, and then Henry Moran.
Yep, the gamble by Joss Butler. It's cost 20 runs there. Liam Livingston coming into the attack. He's got the wicket off the last delivery, but Rovman Powell played like a captain who knows his team need more runs. It's been hard work. Pooran 32 from 26 at the crease at the moment. So fluent the other evening, has been nowhere near that tonight. The West Indies still will fancy getting up towards 200 if they do manage to close out these last 5 overs well. But England have called their premier fast bowler back to the crease to try and break this partnership again with 2 dangerous batters out there.
Here comes Jofra Archer from the far end of the ground. It's outside the off stump, well bowled, nothing that Pooran can do with it. I have to say, Finney, I thought that was madness.
Who would you have bowled?
You've got so many options, because up to that point you've still got 2 overs for Mark Wood, 2 overs for Jofra Archer, 2 for Sam Curran, 2 for Moeen Ali. It's only 6 overs left in the innings. You've got bags of choice. 20 runs off the over, 3 sixes. Momentum changes entirely. In comes Archer outside the off stump. Oh, it was a noise. He's got his hand in the air, but I think that was bat combining with surface as opposed to the ball. 137 for 2. I just don't get it.
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, Livingston so far this tournament has bowled well in the games that he's played. Adil Rashid was getting a bit of turn driving it into the surface. The mistake was the length that Livingston bowled.
In comes Archer outside the off stump, sliced away, not far away from the dive of backward point, but it'll be 4 runs. ... 4, and Pooran gets the boundary to move his total to 36. It's 141 for 2. I mean, I bow to your infinite knowledge on this compared to me, Finney, but from the perspective of someone watching out on and trying to work it out, it seemed illogical.
Yeah, but I think Curran's not had a great evening with the ball, has he? Adil Rashid, they're saving for when Russell comes in. I would imagine Adil will bowl the next over this end with Russell at the crease. Moeen had bowled the previous over. They're going to need Topley at the end for 1 because he's only got 1 left. So the only other person they could have bowled in that situation was Mark Wood, and Rovman Powell plays fast bowling very well.
Here comes Archer. Oh, that's a good ball. Goes flying on through at some speed as well. Full, and Pooran can do nothing with it. 141 for 2. So it's 3 big sixes down the ground, and then a slice that was called at short third. I think captain and bowler would have been very relieved when they saw that catch being taken. 141 for 2. In comes Jofra Archer. There's another swing and a miss. And 4 from the first 5 balls of the over. I guess it's just one of those gambles as a captain you take.
Yeah, but I think a gamble, I described it wrong actually a couple of minutes ago. It's not a gamble bowling Livingston. It's not like giving Will Jacks the second over when he's not done it for England before. But Liam Livingston's bowled a lot for England in the middle overs.
In comes Archer once more. Bowling a ball which again is beating him, or is it finding the edge? Yeah, up goes the finger, and the tournament's leading run scorer is out. Nicholas Pooran played and missed at 3 of them, and eventually tickles one through to Joss Butler. What a moment that could be in the game. 141 for 3 with 4 overs left, and Jofra Archer strikes for his first of the day, and it's a fine piece of bowling.
Yeah, he's persisted with that full outside off-stump line and length, the tiniest of tickles. The other deliveries in the over, very similar, just angling across Nicholas Pooran from over the wicket, inviting him to try and slice it through those 3 men inside the circle on the offside behind square, and Pooran playing with half a bat trying to open the face on that delivery. Can only scratch a tiny outside edge, and it's 2 breakthroughs in 2 overs now for England. That will allay the fears that they thought that West Indies might start running away with things given the momentum that they'd have got through the opening part of Liam Livingston's over. Now it's going to be another little game of cat and mouse because Adil Rashid comes back into the attack. Andre Russell, not famous for the way that he plays leg spin, but only 4 overs to go. Will he choose to knock it around for 6 balls and give himself a chance to whack it off the final 3 overs, or will he try and take Adil Rashid down here?
Well, neither of the batters have faced the ball, Rutherford or Russell, and it's going to be Russell on strike. Rutherford is a decent touch as well. His 68 not out was match saving against New Zealand. And you've got Andre Russell, who scored 71 off 29 against Australia of all teams at Perth not long ago. In comes Adil Rashid, dropping it a little short, it keeps it a little low. They'll think about a single. How's there not a run there? Oh, could be trouble. Throw comes in. Oh, they get lucky. It was yes, no, maybe. They met halfway down the track and they looked like 2 batters that hadn't been out in the middle for terribly long. They do eventually get a single that should have been the most comfortable thing in the world. I can see why initially it didn't run, because there was a bit of a tangle between Rashid and the non-striker, but A nervy moment. 1-4-2 for 3. The word from the West Indies camp, by the way, to Brandon King. Side strain. He will only bat if entirely necessary. 142 for 3. Left-handed Rutherford has a look around, sees 3 on the boundary on the leg side in the red of England. And Rashid tosses the ball up, comes in whirling his arms, and that's pushed towards Moeen Ali at cover. West Indies currently projected to get 174. You'd fancy they'd get a few more than that. Can they get a big finish? The wind blows across the ground, buffeting Rashid's shirt. He comes in now, past the umpire. And it's another ball that's just pushed towards Moeen Ali. No run. England doing a good job here. 142 for 3. So in comes Adil Rashid. This is tapped into the onside. There won't be more than just a single. Harry Brook runs in from the long on boundary. 1-4-3 for 3. 2 balls left of the 17th over. But I'm fascinated by captaincy decisions, and you've been captain of a T20 side in Middlesex. Did it change your perspective of how these calls are made?
No, you understand the logic behind them, though. I think when you're watching what's in front of you and the information that you're garnering from the wicket, that's what you're basing your decisions on.
In comes Adil Rashid, and this is outside the off stump, hacked away into the leg side. Easy as you like for Phil Salt, and Andre Russell goes for just 1. That could be a big moment in this game. Really could. It was whipped away towards wide long on, and Phil Salt did not have to move a muscle. 143 for 4.
And that's the exact reason that Liam Livingstone bowled the previous over, because they know that exactly the second that Andre Russell comes to the crease, you bring Adil Rashid on and you challenge him to challenge the ego, really, to say, okay, there's 4 overs to go. You're their premier 6 hitter towards the back end of the innings. I'm going to challenge you to hit a leg spinner that I know that you can't pick. He can't pick the googly of Adil Rashid, like the first delivery that he only just jammed his bat down on. So Adil Rashid's won the battle there, and Josh Buttler is vindicated for holding Adil Rashid back for this 1 over and takes a very important wicket in the 17th over.
I'm increasingly finding out I know nothing, Finney.
No, absolutely not. But that's also why we love cricket. It's such a subjective game, and it's such a game of opinions. There's no right answer to anything. That's why it's such a fascinating game to watch and follow, because there is no correct answer. There is no right answer all the time. No one knows everything.
And often, actually, a captain, it can be proved one way or the other. It just is gambling, isn't it, to an extent. Romario Shepherd back in the side, having returned from parental duties for the birth of his 2nd child. He won't get a run, though, into the onside. 2 runs and a wicket in the over. 143 for 4. And this is why, I suppose, we sit up late into the night discussing these things.
Yeah, that's why we stay here till 1:30 recording podcasts in the morning after a day's play to talk about these decisions. But that was a good one by Josh Buttler. Hold a deal back for Andre Russell. You've got 2 new batters at the crease, Rutherford and Shepherd. Clearly powerful, but they're not quite Andre Russell when hitting seam at the back end of an innings. Now, this is the interesting over. You've got Mark Wood coming on to bowl now. There's 3 overs left. Archer has 1. He'll almost certainly bowl the 20th from the far end, and Reece Topley will bowl the 19th from this end. They're both accomplished death bowlers. Reece Topley, back of the hand slower balls, very useful. Mark Wood, not famed for his death bowling, so the West Indies will look to put him under pressure here, but because of those wickets, Rutherford's only faced 3 balls and Shepherd only 1, so it makes your job at this stage of the innings far easier as a bowler.
Here comes Mark Wood into bowl 2, the left-handed Rutherford. He didn't take long to get hold of it, but has he got enough? He does. 6. 2nd ball he faces, gets pummeled away square out towards the Johnson Charles stand to our right. It's 149 for 4, and they need some of these, West Indies.
Yep, they do. It's a nice shot, just picked up off his hip, actually. Looking to bowl back of a length. I think Wood maybe trying to bang that one in shorter than it actually was, but it comes out fuller. It ends up around thigh high for Rutherford to just rock back and thrash it up over deep square leg for 6.
149 for 4. In comes Mark Wood, sprinting towards us again. This is mistimed into the onside. I say mistimed, it's actually flown away. It's 4. It just looked like it had come off the bat quite high up, but it's gone quickly, and there's no one protecting that boundary out towards Wide long on, 153 for 4, and it's Mark Wood under pressure here.
Yeah, he's just trying to bowl quicker and quicker. You see Jofra Archer rolls his fingers down the side of the ball with the odd quick Yorker mixed in there. Mark Wood here 145 kilometres an hour and 146. At this stage of the innings, these guys don't care about pace. Everything's got to go January sales style. Mark Wood has gone 2 boundaries in the first 2 balls. Runs it again, angled approach. And this is nicely pushed towards extra cover. Fielder running round. Moeen, he's quick across the outfield. They'll get 2. We've seen 12 4s and 9 6s in this innings. Not quite been the same sort of night that we saw against Afghanistan. And at this point, you'd say if they could go at 12 and over and reach 185, England would have taken that. Yes, I think definitely. I think that the reason they've bowled first is that they believe the wicket's not going to deteriorate. They've seen 3 pretty big scores get posted by the team batting first in all of the games here, and you back your bowlers to execute their skills in the first half. And then you have that strong top 3 who lay the foundation for that powerful middle order to chase anything down on a pitch with a short boundary and a strong wind.
In comes Wood again. 4th ball of the 18th. Has been pulled away into the onside, but along the ground, out towards Sam Curran. It's 1-5-6 for 4 as Rutherford punches his bat. That was the slapping noise you could hear. He's annoyed with himself. He felt that had to go as well.
Yeah, it was a good length to get under. It's slightly fuller from Mark Wood this time than the one that did get hit for 6, but if he'd have stayed still there and not swung too hard at the ball, he could have just helped that up over the leg side for 6 more, but Mark Wood will be happy that the left-hander's off strike, brings Romario Shepherd onto strike, who's only faced 1 delivery.
Mark Wood into the side in place of Chris Jordan, and that would have been a reasonably lengthy meeting, I'd imagine, to work out who to play. 1-5-6 for 4. Wood running in to bowl to the right-handed Shepherd, who gets in a right old tangle, and the ball goes back towards Mark Wood. That was quick.
Yeah, it's a big delivery, this one. If Mark Wood can get out of the over, there's 13 runs from it. 6 turns it into a bad over. A dot ball or a single means it comes out of it relatively evens. 156 for 4 with 13 deliveries remaining. England at the moment will be the happier of the 2 teams.
Here is Wood at the far end of the ground, turning. Running towards us. Shepherd on strike down the leg side. That'll be wide. So he'll have to go again. 1-5-7 for 4. We've got 2 overs to come after this. Archer and Topley are the ones you think will bowl him. Topley next?
Definitely. I think Topley next, yeah, because I think if there was an in-batter whacking it everywhere, I think you'd go Archer the 19th over to try and take that wicket and to really stifle the runs. But now I think it'll be Topley and then Archer to close things out from the far end.
Shepherd none from 2. Mark Wood at the far end. Turns around and begins the acceleration towards us over the wicket. And bowls a ball that again is down the leg side. He's furious with himself and has to turn round to try once more. A couple of wides now. 1-5-8 for 4.
Yeah, now if this goes for 6, it turns into a 21 run over. Another biggie. Josh Buttler doesn't look best pleased down there. Just trying to cramp Shepherd for room here. Mark Wood angling it in towards the pads. He's not looking to bowl Yorkers. That's not one of his great skills. Just looking to use the angle from wide of the crease to try and cramp Shepherd for room. But if he gets any bat on those, when he's swinging at them down the leg side, they're going to carry for 6.
So Wood to try once more to conclude the 18th over. He runs in towards us, Shepherd waiting, and this is helped away into the leg side. It's going to be 4. Topley couldn't stop it. And so the over yields 19. And that's not gone to plan for Mark Wood. 6-4 to start it off. A couple of wides in there and then a boundary to finish. It's 1-6-2 for 4. 18 overs gone. And he looks really frustrated as he takes his cap.
Yeah, and that's the reason why it's always an interesting discussion between who plays, between Mark Wood for his pace and his ability to blow away batters at certain stages of the innings, or Chris Jordan, who he gets a bit of stick sometimes, I think unfairly. He always bowls the difficult overs. He bowls the 6th in the power play, and then he bowls a couple at the death. He never hides in the middle overs, never does the hard, does the easy work. But I was wrong. That's why I'm not a captain anymore, because there's going to be a different bowling change.
Sam Curran. It is a left arm seamer, but it's Sam Curran who's standing on the edge. And I've only just noticed this. The ground staff have cut the grass in such a way as there are diamonds, big diamonds all over the ground. Do you see?
Well, I do now. I just thought that was the floodlights for some reason.
No. In comes Curran and runs in over the wicket. A full delivery, which is pushed down the ground for probably just one from Rutherford. Decent start to the over from Curran. You've got the floodlights creating the 6 shadows around the feet of everyone out there. But you've also got these diamonds that are created by shaving the grass in one direction. And then it just gives you the visual that you've almost got a sort of kaleidoscope out there. Right then, there's a interesting field here. There's a short third and probably only 7 or 8 yards to his right. Another field there. It's almost a sort of fly slip and a short third. And then you got deep backward point, deep cover, wide long off, long on, deep mid wicket. So here comes Curran round the wicket to the right-handed Shepherd, who goes hard at the ball into the offside. That's why the protection's out there. And it'll just be a single, 164 for 4.
Yeah, clearly telegraphing his plan here. Sam Curran to Shepherd, not going to allow him to get anywhere near hitting the ball towards the leg side. Bowling round the wicket, bowling it out towards the wide line, saying if you want to try and hit a boundary, you're going to have to beat 3 men out on the cover boundary. He changes his plan, comes over the wicket to Shafane Rutherford now. 3 men behind point on the offside. Short, fine leg, everyone else is on the boundary.
Well, here comes Curran. Running in, scampering in, and swing and a miss. Pace taken off it, and he almost swung himself off his feet. What a good start to the over it's been from Curran, that one. Right down on its pace. And a lot of what he did so successfully in the 2022 edition of this tournament, where he was player of the tournament, was find real economy at crucial times, and that was a lot about using the wide surfaces in Australia.
Yeah, he's a competitive lad, Sam Curran. He'll never shy away from doing the dirty work.
He runs in again, kicking up his heels, and past the umpire. It's a low full toss, which is whipped away in the air. Johnny Bairstow won't be able to catch it. They'll turn for a second run, and they should get there comfortably enough. And I possibly feel he's missed out there, Rutherford, because it was quite inviting to be pummeled away, but you're hitting against the wind, which is blowing quite firmly, actually. You can see the flags above that DJ tent blowing directly in, sort of out towards the pitch in the middle of the field. So 166 for 4, 2 balls left of the over, just 4 runs from this 19th so far. Feels like the wind's picking up a little bit here.
There's even the flag poles are waggling around in the wind there, aren't they? Strong today.
Curran, arms pumping. Will move in now past the umpire, outside the off stump, and drilled away out to deep cover. Phil Salt, who's always full of enthusiasm in the deep, will throw out to Butler. It's a good piece of running. It's the long part of the ground, and they do get 2 once again. They kind of have to push for everything here. 6 from the over.
Yeah, and it's just that urgency that was lacking actually through the first 17 overs of the innings, with a couple of isolated incidents of aggression in between. It's not been the same intent from this West Indies team that we've seen from them so far here at this ground, which is curious somewhat.
Sam Curran to bowl to Shafane Rutherford, who's on 19 from 11. Final ball of the 19th over, feels like a big one. 6 from the over so far. Curran is in, outside the off stump, swing and a miss. Pace taken off it, and what a very good over that is from Curran, who's bowled 3, none for 25, and with that, and that over alone, has probably done his calls for playing later on in the tournament quite a lot of good.
Yeah, he's a very talented lad, isn't he? Sam Curran reads the situation, and because he's an all-rounder, actually, it makes you understand and know exactly what a batter doesn't want to face at that time. Sam Curran, I think, is just trotting down towards long on. He was signalling towards the dugout. I was worried that he might have been injured or something, but I think he's just calling for a towel to dry his face and hands for this last over. Jofra Archer has the ball in his hand.
Well, here comes Archer. Final over of the innings. He's running in. First ball is slapped against the pads of Romario Shepherd, who'll get a single as it drops eventually towards Adil Rashid at point. An email from Adit who asks if Sam Curran is a mirror image of Nathan Ellis. One bowls right arm, one bowls left. They both sort of bustle in with not that much height. I can sort of see that.
I can't, unfortunately.
Can you not?
No. Aside from blonde hair and short, I'd say there's zero similarities between the two. Sorry.
There you go, at it. Thanks for writing.
Yeah, please write again.
169 for 4. A leg bye to start the over. 5 balls left of the innings. Jofra Archer bowls. Oh, that's a powerful hit, and it goes for 6. Slashed away over backward point. He gave it everything, and it goes sailing away. 175 for 4.
Yeah, it looked like an attempted slow ball outside the off stump, but Rutherford's done really well and waited for it. And just backs away, and he manages an off-cutter. Yeah, short and wide from Archer, but not enough pace taken off it. And it skips on off this surface that I still think is a good pitch. Arcs his back, thrashes it over deep backward point.
Archer to try once again. And this has been pummeled into the offside, but the fielder running round from long off will pick it up. Oh, yes, no, could be trouble. The ball's gone to the wrong end. Had to go to Jofra Archer, it didn't. And they'll get back for 2. 9 from the over.
Yeah, good running, although after some deliberation, it was a bit of confusion out there. Had the ball gone to the non-striker's end, Shepherd would have been run out by miles. Rutherford clearly saying, I'm the man who's faced more deliveries. I'm 27 from 14. Shepherd has only faced 5, therefore meaning that if Rutherford is able to face as many deliveries in this last over as possible, he's got a better read of what's going on out there on the pitch.
So Archer from the pavilion end, as we see a towel coming out. And often you see this in the final over. Once the bowling side has reached this point without being too slow and the worries of having to have an extra fielder inside the circle, suddenly plans can be extended rather, because you're not going to get that punishment. It might be actually that they're looking at changing the ball as well. I think possibly when it went for 6, it got a little bit of a whack, maybe a chunk taken out of it. 3 balls left in the innings. 177 for 4.
No, it's actually a really interesting game of cricket so far. It doesn't feel as though the West Indies have got as many runs so far with 3 deliveries to go. Haven't got as many runs as they'd have hoped for batting first. Both teams wanting to chase, believing that this was a good pitch that's not going to deteriorate. So you'd say at the moment, with 3 deliveries remaining, that the West Indies are subpar, but a lot can change in 3 deliveries.
Yeah, it does feel quite significant, this. 177 for 4. They could somehow get into the 190s. That feels a very different game of cricket. Archer again. It's the left-handed Rutherford, who's waiting and swinging and driving at a ball down the ground. Crowd roar before spotting Harry Brook emerging from in front of that party stand to pick up. 178 for 4. 2 balls left of the innings.
Yeah, just showing his value as waiting gold here, Jofra Archer. I know he's been hit for that 6 earlier on in the over, but he's nailed his Yorkers since then. He doesn't really ever let overs escalate. He gets hit for 6 early, potentially, and then manages to close it out. He's been good so far.
2 balls left of the innings. Archer is in, and swing and a miss. They're going to try and pick up the extra run. Throw comes in. Oh, they both miss, and they could get another one here. That is Keystone Cop stuff, I'm afraid, from Buttler and Archer. It's pretty hard for the keeper with the gloves on to roll at the stumps, but there's not really any excuse for Jofra Archer to miss with all 3 to aim at from probably 4 yards.
I think even less, maybe. That's Langleybury Cricket Club stuff, that. Dribbling away. Batters come back for 2 important runs, though. 1 delivery to go. he's underarmed that so hard at the stumps as well.
180 for 4. Final ball of the innings. Archer bowls it, swing and a miss, and they won't run this time, even though if the last delivery was anything to go by, probably would have got away with it. 12 from the over. 180 for 4, and that is an interesting total, Stephen Finn. It's very hard to pitch it absolutely in England's favour, but you think they'd probably be the happier of the 2 sides?
I think they would, yeah. I think winning the toss, bowling first, and believing that this surface is still a good one. I think the most interesting thing is going to be when the West Indies open up with their left-arm spinners against this top order of England that love pace on the ball. That's going to be the true test of whether this is still an excellent wicket, or maybe it's just come a touch more stodgy, which is why we saw the West Indies not opting to try and hit so many 6s and 4s through those middle overs. But it's the same score, exactly the same score I think that Scotland scored here and Australia chased it down less than a week ago to help England make their way through to this stage of the tournament. So we're poised for a very interesting second half of the game.
We will restart in 10 minutes from now. You mentioned that left arm spin duo. It's Akil Hussain and Gudakesh Moti. Between them, 12 wickets in the tournament so far. England's coterie of right-handers is going to be put to the test, and so really interesting to see how the power play plays out as we see the roller trundling onto the field with a couple of members of the ground staff on board. 180 for 4 then is the West Indies total. It was an innings that saw Brandon King retire hurt on 23, having hit 3 fours and the biggest 6 I can remember seeing in this tournament. Johnson Charles was caught by Harry Brook off the bowling of Moeen Ali for 38. Nicholas Pooran and Rovman Powell put on a good partnership before Powell was out 36 from 17.
I've got Adil alongside me.
Adil
Adil,
Rashid.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much for your time. It's a very powerful West Indies batting order on a decent pitch. How pleased are you with restricting them to 180?
Yeah, I thought we bowled exceptionally well there. As a unit, seamers, spinners, kept it tight there. I think 180, probably a pass score, so I think we'd be pleased with that.
1 for 21 for you. What went right for you?
Nothing much, it's another day just for me to come in trying to express myself and trying to assess the pitch. Like I always said before, some days it works, some days it doesn't. But I thought as a bowling unit, spinners, seamers, we bowl well.
And you also bowl with a slip in place at certain times. I haven't seen that for a while.
Oh, you try and get that because you get a sense sometimes of how they're playing. But I did feel as though slip was in the game. But obviously sometimes you take it out, put it in, try to play little mind games as well.
Appreciate your time, thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Adil Rashid there, chatting on the boundary edge as he had a good day out, 4 overs, 1 for 21. So the rest of that West Indies innings then, Rodman Powell, 36 from 17. Nicholas Pooran was eventually caught behind off the bowling of Archer for 36. So 3 players getting the mid-30s but not going on. Andre Russell, the final wicket to fall for just 1, and that was Rashid's solitary wicket. Shafane Rutherford at the end, 28 from 15, very useful runs. England's bowling figures, expensive day for Mark Wood, 3 overs, none for 36. Liam Livingstone bowled 1 over, 1 for 20. It's a useful wicket though, important moment. Moeen Ali, 2 overs, 1 for 15. 3 overs, none for 25 for Sam Curran. Jofra Archer, 4 overs, 1 for 34. And Reece Topley, 3 overs, none for 26. So England at the start of their Super 8s campaign, and indeed West Indies as well, both sides opening matches in this phase of the tournament. Well, England will need 181 for victory. Right then, let's hear a little bit more about cricket here in the Caribbean. I've been chatting to the West Indian broadcaster Joel Manning about how this T20 World Cup is being received in this part of the world.
Honestly, it's been amazing from a fan perspective. The atmosphere has been phenomenal, so it's been received well, and when West Indies are winning, everybody's happy.
Out in the middle, because you've been out and about, you've been out in the middle with the crowd all around you. The atmosphere Monday night for that West Indies-Afghanistan game, it was unbelievable.
Honestly, pulsating, I think, is a word that I would go with. Exhilarating as well, because you always knew St. Lucia would come out, and you really get the vibes when you get to the smaller islands like these, because they've not really had that much cricket in recent times. So to have West Indies back, to have them performing, and Johnson Charles, of course, set things alight. So that just set the platform for what was amazing energy. And then the manner in which they did it, honestly, it was a wonderful night of cricket.
It sometimes feels like West Indies cricket gets a little bit of a sense of, oh, it's all about yesteryear, the great names of the 80s and the 90s. But actually, there's such a vibrant fan base, particularly when it comes to this white ball team.
Yeah, honestly, die-hard fans, the best way to describe West Indian fans, because when they're doing well, they still love them, but it's a real love-hate relationship here in the Caribbean. So they're going to abuse them and curse them, yeah, but you know that they have the West Indian boys' best interests at heart. So when they get to performances like these, you just feel the outpouring of love. And the fact that it's a home World Cup as well just adds even more to it.
Take me into a party stand at West Indies cricket. And what's it like as a spectator to follow the West Indies team in those stands with that music pumping, the rum? I saw people carrying bottles of rum around as well.
Nahi Germanos, when she walked into the stadium, she said, oh my God, all of that is alcohol. But that is honestly a part of the Caribbean way, because all of our islands are known for the rum and the unique ways that the rum just goes down as well. And I wouldn't say it lightens the atmosphere, because it's already a very light atmosphere, but it just, incentivizes everybody to have just a better time at cricket. In terms of how I would describe the party stand, I don't think there are words really to describe the party stand, because we are party people here in the Caribbean, and every party stand is unique in its own way. So Barbados, you're going to have the beach and the sand. In St. Vincent, you have the pool. Here in St. Lucia, you have the grass banks. Guyana, you have the grass banks, and everybody always brings that unique energy, you know, the accents that we all have around the region add to it as well. So even if you're not a part of the Caribbean, you know, you've flown in to be a part of the cricket, you just feel as if, you know, all of a sudden you have that passport for the island that you're in.
And what I like about this West Indies team, I know you're from Barbados, and it is a team that is from all parts of the Caribbean. Sometimes over the years we've seen one island really dominating, but this team absolutely represents the West Indies.
No, it really does. When you look through it, you know, represented from Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, etc., you know. And I think that it really is representative of what the Caribbean is in terms of unity. And, you know, it is just so interesting that over the years, how we've seen the team develop, and the fact that it is truly the one thing that unifies us all, because it's the only sport that we play together. So honestly, it's amazing that it's truly just a melting pot of cultures, of accents, of everything coming together and uniting an entire region.
And you've got a skipper in Rovman Powell who seems to just be, one, the nicest man in the world, and two, also somebody that really does bring the team together.
Yeah, he is a leader for the right time, you know. At this moment, you always think about, you know, who do you want in the very, I guess, most dire of scenarios, and right now he is that man, because one, he has a presence about him when he's on the field and guys believe in him, you know. So it's a case of he's just that leader who, one, has the authoritative presence, two, finds the right words at the right times as well. And yeah, for me, I think he's the man for the job.
What about how far this West Indies team can go?
So before this World Cup started, I remember I was sitting on a bench in Barbados having a conversation. I said, hey, this West Indies team is going to the semi-finals. And if they get to the semi-finals, they're going to final. That was my wholehearted belief, because when I thought back to the series that we've played against England, against India, leading into this, against South Africa, and you saw things starting to come together, you saw the boxes start to be ticked, then you saw that, hey, Sammy now is the white ball coach, and he adds another dynamic in terms of the fact that he's been there, he's done that. And for me, Sammy is one of the most motivational people that I've ever come across, you know. So to have all the pieces of the puzzle start to come together, and then to have the guys starting to believe once again in the coach, in the process, in the structure, and believe in themselves, I reckon that, hey, semi-finals, hands down for sure. But if we do get to that semi-final, we'll be in Barbados playing, and hey, we'll take it.
We shall see. Joel Manning speaking to me about cricket here in the Caribbean. It certainly has been a really special occasion, this tournament. And when West Indies get on a roll, it's amazing, the atmosphere at grounds. And it's been a little more subdued perhaps than it was the other night, just the lack of quite as dramatic an onslaught of sixes. But I think interesting game ahead of us. England will need 181 to win from 20 overs. We'll have the openers heading to the middle in just a moment. The two umpires are beginning striding out. That heavy roller is trundling off as well. I was down next to it the other day on the boundary edge. It's an old Canadian bit of kit, and the ground staff, all 6 members of the senior ground staff team, they sit on it and watch on from the boundary edge during play, making sure that the surface they prepared is doing exactly what they want. And it has been a very good surface for batting, certainly during this tournament so far. We've seen the biggest scores comfortably in the competition here in St. Lucia, and England will be hoping that they can get enough runs. They'll be happy if it's 181 from 120 balls. Doesn't matter, they just need to get the victory. And West Indies will be thinking, well, our 2 left-arm spinners could hold the key. It's going to be a fascinating battle to see how that plays out, and to see how Rovman Powell chooses to utilise his bowling options at the start of the innings. England went all seam during the power play overs, as is typically the way. Normally Adil Rashid will come on in the 7th, but they mix things up with Sam Curran getting an opportunity alongside Reece Topley and Mark Wood in there, as well as Jofra Archer. But we'll wait to see what the plan is for West Indies, who gather in a maroon huddle at the far end of the ground. England's openers will emerge shortly, Phil Salt and Jos Buttler, to head to the middle and look to get England off to a quick start. I mean, those two are pretty much as good as it gets in terms of that approach. They both like to get going from the off, and Phil Salt scored back-to-back hundreds against West Indies in that 5-match series at the back end of last year. So he's somebody that enjoys playing against this side. But let me give you a stat or two about the left-arm spinning duo, because that is going to be a vital battle. Gurukesh Moti and Akil Hussain, 12 wickets between them so far. Moti's first game against England saw him taking 1 for 9 from 4 overs at Grenada. And the left-arm spinners against the right-handers of England, only Moeen Ali offers that point of difference. Well, it's going to be a really interesting battle to see how that one goes. The crowd have returned from the various concession stalls around the back of the party stand. There's some gazebos up there. I can see the smoke rising from one of the many jerk chicken stalls that you get right across the Caribbean, all with a slightly different variety, and you never know quite how punchy it's going to be, but it's an amazing experience seeing what is essentially a barbecue right in the middle of the party stand out there, and it is every single sense that you feel when you explore the grounds and see what cricket is like, as we were hearing from Joel, in this part of the world. Right then, Stephen Finn is alongside me, and we are going to see spin from the off. So, Finny, what are you expecting? And Jeff Lemon's going to take us through the opening phases of the innings.
Well, it's difficult to describe Akil Hussain as a genuine spinner. He more uses the swing of these brand new white balls to really cramp right-handed batters for room. He's going to be bowling around the wicket. He's going to be bowling to Phil Salt to begin with, who's down on his haunches, stretching his hip flexors. His right arm is heavily taped around the elbow area for the amount that he swings the bat and how hard he swings it. It's going to be an entertaining and interesting battle, I think, inside these first 6 overs. Good evening, Jeff.
Good evening. Akil Hussain, who did the job so well against Afghanistan, took a wicket. What, did he go for 1 run, or was it none in his first over the other night? I can't imagine the same happening with Phil Salt batting. He'll go for it no matter what. But that slip in place. Akil Hussain, left-arm spinner, around the wicket to the right-handed Salt, who is not attacking him first ball. He's just playing a little whip across the line down to long on for 1. Russell comes in to do the fielding. England underway in underwhelming style.
Yes, not quite the aggressive start that we sometimes see from Phil Salt. This one's a finger spinner spinning away from Salt. It does just hold in the surface slightly, so he checks his shot, rocks back onto the back foot and just nudges it up to long on, and he ambled towards the non-strikers end. Joss Buttler really set off trying to push Andre Russell for 2.
Work those aging knees. What's left of them? Andre Russell, the bionic man.
Well, he was wearing fashion trainers with spikes underneath them in a series in the IPL. They're not good for your knees.
Akil Hussain will bowl to Buttler, who dips at the knees, gets a flat ball driven through at the off stump, and no run. So he gets in behind it, and that ball kept low.
Yeah, it's the in-swinger. So Akil Hussain, he varies his bowling. He doesn't have a carom ball. Think of Ravi Ashwin flicking it out the front. He bowls an arm ball, but it's a very quick seam-up arm ball that really arcs back in towards the right-handers, and that was just that.
10 k's an hour faster than the previous ball, that one. Hussain in at the stumps, and Butler's playing it just behind point. Straight to the fielder, again no run. So this is like the other night. Although Ramanullah Gurbaz hit one to mid-on and got himself caught. But it was a similarly suffocating line. Players who weren't confident to attack it. What will they do now? They bring it long off up to mid-off. They drop Russell back to long on. Can't quite decide who they want where. Hussain. Around the wicket. And Butler's flicking it across the line out to deep mid-wicket. He'll get a comfortable 2 because it's deep backward square who has to come around to do the fielding. 3 for none. Butler's off the mark. He's got 2.
Shimron Hetmeyer out there, I think, with pink hair. He's dyed the top of his hair pink. He's sub-fielding for King, obviously. It's you can't miss him, that's for sure.
No, I spotted him walking out of his hotel a couple of days ago, and it was very easy to tell who it was.
That's Hetmeyer.
4 balls gone. Akil Hussain to Buttler, very wide of the off-stump, driven. Half a hand on it from the bowler, which takes some pace off it. Mid-off has to get across the field. There's only 1 run there.
Yeah, that started out towards the wide line. It was the seam-up delivery again, quicker, 101 kilometres an hour. Right at the last second, it darts back in. It's like a county medium pacer bowling towards the off-stump, except he's doing it as a left-arm spinner.
Hussain, unhappy with his field, wants deep backward square to go further behind square. Salt on strike on one, Hussain to him, and he defends off the back foot, and he'll get a run for it because he manages to push it to the onside of the pitch. And there's nobody there. Russell coming up from long on again to field. So it is a very quiet start, as it was for Hussain the other night, but no wicket. 5 runs from that first over. England need 176 further, so they started off needing 181, which is 9 and over. They've had an early look at Akil Hussain. We'll see what's going to happen next.
Looks as though, is that Romario Shepherd? He can swing the new ball, can't he? Andre Russell bowled the second over the other evening against Afghanistan, but I don't think that's his preferred role, bowling inside the power play. I think he just took that up because Romario Shepherd was away for the birth of his child, which we wish him the well and send him our congratulations. But he's got the ball in his hand, there's a slip in place, and he can swing this new ball both ways. So England are going to have to be on their guard again. That rate now 9.26 runs per over required.
Slip, short third, and a deep third, really, you'd have to call it. And it's in at the leg stump and being turned away by Salt to short, fine leg. They go through for a run. Umpire says it's a leg by.
It's brave from the umpire. He's got a big, wide brim. It's even bigger. Think of a cricket floppy hat. It's even bigger than that. It's humongous. And that wind sort of going from, you say, east to west.
Yep.
The flags are stiff in the breeze, and the flag poles are actually waggling around and shaking in the wind as well. So a wide brim's an interesting option from the umpire there, and he had to catch it before he signalled leg by.
Needs the very cool drawstring to go under
strap,
the chin.
Yeah. Or like a gel layer on the inside of it that makes it stick to your head.
There we go. Now we're talking technology to overcome the aesthetic shortcomings of the cord. Nobody looks good with that. Here goes Shepherd in at the hip, and Butler flicks it away for 4. And that was very Joss Butler, the little whip of the wrist, the shuffle across to get into line. And he plays those shots stylishly. England hit double figures, they're up to 10.
Yeah, freebie from Shepherd. He's clearly trying to swing this new ball quite a lot. The slip remains in place. Rovman Powell himself deciding to stand there, but just asking it to swing from much too straight a line down the leg side, and all Joss Butler has to do is get an inside edge, a thick inside edge, and it races away for 4 past short fine leg.
6 on the offside as Shepherd bowls to Butler, just back of a length outside the off stump, and he drops it away towards short cover. They get through for a run, 11 for none. So this interesting field with the slip, the short third inside the circle, and then the man in the deep, I would still call a deep third more than a backward point. He's fairly square, but not quite square enough to be a deep backward point for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then they've got a point, a cover, and a mid-off, so well stacked, but behind square on the offside.
Yeah, it's a very fashionable field now. People used to classically always start with the deep third. Now everyone starts with that man inside the ring and that deep, wide third.
Down the leg side goes Shepherd, and there's a wide added to England's total. Another helpful error from the bowler for England, at 12 for none.
Yeah, it used to just be you had a deep third and a deep backward square leg to start the innings in a T20, and that was just it. Whereas now, because guys are able to come out and whack the ball right from the very beginning, there's not that respectful 3 or 4 overs where everyone's just sussing each other out. It's hammer and tong right from the very beginning, so this is a more defensive field.
Shepherd up to Salt, who can't score here. He just plays it with a straight bat back to the bowler on the bounce. So is the rationale for that you're less likely to get a nick down to a conventional deep third, and you're more likely to flay it square to a squarer position?
Yeah, that's it, exactly. And if the batter does try to run it off the face down towards deep third, that man's just as likely to stop it because it's not going to have the pace on it. So,
or to take a catch there.
Yes.
Which we see a lot of dismissals in that fashion. Coming down the pitch is Salt and getting a thick inside edge out to deep backward square leg for 1. 13 for none. 1 ball to come in the Romario Shepherd over. It's bowling from the pavilion end here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Another lovely, warm, windy night in St Lucia. Such an atmosphere to these games as you come down, and it's still a little bit light in the sky. There's the sun's below the horizon, but there's that fading sort of colour out of the sky. There's the warm air All the palm trees and foliage. That wild wind picking up, and Shepherd up to Butler, who flicks it fine, gets past the short fine leg, and he'll pick up 4. And again, that's effortless batting from Butler. Doesn't need to take risks when he's got that line to work with, and he's able to profit with very little peril. 17 for none the score. Butler's on 12, Salt on 3.
It's actually what the West Indies didn't do great in their first few overs. They didn't use the pace that was offered to them by England. They were thrashing, they were splicing the ball to extra cover, they were hitting fielders in front of square. Josh Butler, both times he's hit boundaries there, has just waited for the ball to come to him, turned his wrists on it, used this good surface where the ball is coming onto the bat to just beat those fielders, and the outfield is small here, so it races away for an easy 4. It's intelligent batting by Butler. He's got his innings off to a nice start.
Akil Hussain will continue. None for 5 from his first. Just working out where he wants his field to be, and the umpires also getting involved there for some reason. So for Hussain, we've got a short third, a backward point, a cover and a mid-off. He bowls very wide of the crease, and driving it is Salt straight to the square of those cover fielders. No run there. Then he's got a long on mid-wicket, deep backward square, and a short fine leg.
To these two guys, I'd be so tempted to just bowl your left arm spinners all the way through the power play.
Yeah. Get Gudakesh Moti on as well. Hussain in and bowls in at the stump's leading edge, but it lands safely out of that cover point position again. Salt, 2 dots in a row. You think these who particularly don't enjoy that style? Or?
I just think they like pace on the ball. You've seen Butler use the pace that previous over. Phil Salt loves it when the ball's banged in halfway down.
Hussain bowls to Salt, drives it through, and it's punched back just past the bowler. Dives across to his left, can't reel it in. There's a chase on, but it won't stop the ball. It's been driven down the ground. And they pick up 4 runs. Phil Salt, slightly risky, drove it in the air. And he gets away with it, though, as Alzari Joseph treks back.
It's actually a leading edge by Phil Salt. Just turning his wrists on it, trying to hit it up towards long on. It just evades Hussain's left hand, and Alzari Joseph can't move to his right to stop it. So 4 off the leading edge, but not convincing.
Akil Hussain, and pulling his Salt with power out over the leg side. Trying to, but he doesn't actually make contact with the ball very well.
I think he might have done. I think it might be a drop catch. I've got a feeling this has just flicked the toe end of the bat. He's held it back in his hand.
Played a huge
Hussain
pull shot at it.
I think there's a little nick. I think there's a tiny under edge on that from Phil Salt. It's a drop chance.
Well, the look on Hussain's face suggests that it is. He almost cried as that ball ricocheted off Nicholas Purin's gloves. Hussain up to Salt, who's digging it out down to long on for 1. So Hussain's been all over them this over, but he hasn't been rewarded with wickets. He threw the bat at that last one. We're just seeing on the replay there was a little flick of the toe of the bat as Salt played that heaving pull shot. Tricked me, but he didn't trick Hussain. He knew that there was an edge on that. Purin crouching behind the stumps, chatting to his bowler. 1 ball to come in the over. Hussain drives it through with a grunt, and coming forward and just pushing it behind point is Butler, getting a single. 23 for none after 3 overs. Phil Salt on 8, Josh Butler on 13. They need 181. Going along okay at 7.5.
You can see that they've identified that Hussain is the real threat inside the power play. Phil Salt did have that big thrash across the line when he thought he saw it short and setting up for him to pull through the leg side. Other than that, they've been very watchful, not taking too many risks, knowing that that's the real danger inside these first 6, because I do believe that they think that they can. There's not loads of death bowling in this West Indies lineup. They've got powerful batting, they've got very good spinners. I think death bowling is where they're lacking in this set of 11 players that they have now, which I think England will feel as though they can catch up towards the back end of the innings if they need to.
Maybe Obed McCoy was an option there, but he's out of the 11 tonight, having bowled well the other night. Shepherd coming back and Chase coming back, so Hope misses out. Andre Russell's got the ball now. He's bowling to Butler, who's taking a run out to deep backward square leg. 24 for none.
I hate the field Andre Russell had there. He's got a deep backward square leg and a fine leg. Just limit, you can only bowl one ball. It has to be on the hip or at the heel. There's no other ball unless you're trying to bluff the batter. There's no other ball that you can bowl. I think I did it for 2 balls in my entire career, and Vince hit both of them for 4, so I canned that and never did it again.
Russell up, and Salt's backing away and shoveling it to mid-wicket inside the circle, going through for 1 more. 25 for none. Just bowl outside off stump to James Finstone. The rest normally takes care of itself.
Well, maybe in 4-day cricket. In T20 cricket, he tends to deal with you everywhere. He's a very good player, Vince. He's a guy, actually, he's been so unfortunate not to play more for England in all formats. He's so classy, he's beautiful to watch. He's got a nice temperament. He's just been unfortunate that he's played in an era where you've got the likes of Root, Stokes, Bairstow, who've hogged those middle order spots for about 10 years now.
And those stroke playing spots as well, I suppose. Russell in at the toes, clipped away by Butler out through deep mid-wicket. He'll get a couple of runs here. 27 for none. Yeah, I was being facetious about James Fitz there, but they have a bit of a tendency to nick off, but he made an awful lot of runs as well as that. Still does, and in the English domestic scene.
Yeah, just back to this field briefly. I think it just limits where you're taking a wicket. You're basically saying to Butler and Salt, the only way I think I'm going to get you out is if you play a really bad shot somewhere.
Russell runs up and backing away. Butler's trying to clobber him through the offside, but cover stops it well. Diving across there is Shafane Rutherford to get hands on the ball. 27 for none.
Seeming a touch frustrated there, Butler, with himself. It was outside off stump. Would have had the opportunity to thrash it through there, but I think he snatched at the chance, got excited, saw it outside off stump and threw his hands at it rather than waiting for it like he has done when he's hit his boundaries.
He's 16 off 11, so he can't be too frustrated. Russell, Butler backs away and tries the same shot, punches it square. It does thread it through this time between point and backward. It won't go to the boundary, but he might pick up a third here on the throw, turns for it. As the long throw comes back in, and Butler does make it to the non-striker's end. They're 30 for none, England. Butler up to 19.
He waited for that one. Much nicer shot by Jos Buttler. He's jumping around his crease, trying to make room on the offside. Just maybe jumping a touch too far. The previous delivery stays a bit more in line. That last one sits on top of the bounce and plays a lovely little punch and finds that gap.
7 runs from the over so far. Last ball of it to come. Phil Salt on strike. 9 off 11. Backing away and clouting it down the ground. That has gone a long, long way. It's only just come down. Went up above the roof. Lost from our field of view for a while, and eventually it's dropped well beyond the boundary at the far end of the ground. It's been hit for 6. 36 for none after 4 overs. Salt has 15.
Yeah, he's just advanced down the pitch and gave himself room outside leg stump, knowing that Russell's going to be trying to angle that in towards leg stump. So you almost know exactly where the ball's going to be. Manages to set his front foot, keeps his head down, swings through the line as if he's on the first tee, and it was a similar trajectory, actually. Just a little bit of fade towards the right-hand side, as if he was just laying up in front of the green, a slight dogleg right, but it was a nice shot by Salt and something that will make him feel better because he's 15 from 12 now. He was 9 from 11 before that delivery.
Cleared the side screen with that 6. So England well on top here. 36 off 4 overs. That's 9 and over, which is exactly what they need. West Indies made 180 earlier tonight, and it did feel light on, especially considering what we've seen the previous couple of games here. Akil Hussain to bowl his 3rd. Butler's faking out, going to the leg side, coming back to his off stump and eventually clipping a single out to deep square leg. A lot of performative routine for 1. 37 for none. I like the addition of Phil Salt to this team. He's got that mongrel streak about him. He's combative. He doesn't back down from that attacking sort of job, the kind of attitude that Jason Roy had in these England teams before him. Akil Hussain in at the stumps. Salt comes forward and presses it into the covers, so they're still being cautious about Hussain, who's gone for 12 so far. He's into his third over.
One of Phil Salt's strengths is he just believes everyone's rubbish and no one deserves to get him out. He's shown respect to Hussain now as a game plan.
Hussain spears it in at the stump. Salt backs away and cuts him for 4 out through the covers. Well, that wasn't too respectful. Make room, step back, swing through the line, carve it off your stumps. Not worried about you, mate. I'll pick up 4, 41 for none. Salt's up to 19.
Nice shot by Salt, just waited for it slightly. Hussain shouting at himself as he walks back to his mark because of the little bit of room that he offered Phil Salt there. It's one of Phil Salt's strengths that he just believes that he should be whacking everyone he faces for 4 and 6, and it's quite an intimidating thing to bowl at.
I suppose you have to have relentless self-belief at this kind of level of any sport. In towards the stumps goes Hussain, dragged away on a pull shot out to deep square leg. They'll come back for a second. Salt takes on the arm and he takes it on very effectively. Gets back well before the ball arrives. He was really motoring. 43 for none. Salt 21, Butler 20.
Makes such a difference actually running hard like that, turning those, it's such a cliche, but turn 1s into 2s. But if you just amble through for a single there, the scoreboard clearly doesn't move as much. It's something that the West Indies didn't do inside those first 6 overs, as well as England are doing here. It can make a big difference.
Hussain, more semaphore to his field, and now Salt pulling across the line, just cloughing it under edge, and he takes on the arm for a single as the ball goes to mid-wicket. And again, he makes it because he really moves those quads, gets those legs pumping, and he's through to the non-striker's end. 1 to come in the 5th. 44 for none, England. They need 181. So they're on track at the moment. Hussain moving his backward point 2 metres to his right. Bowls now outside the off stump, and a bottom-handed drive back from Butler goes straight back to the bowler, who looks very annoyed with himself at the end of that over, even though it was a dot ball to finish. He throws his head back, looks at the sky, surveys it for answers. There's not much written up there at this time of night. It's a black inky expanse. You can stare into it, but it probably won't make you feel a whole lot better. 44 for none after 5 overs. England going along at 8.8. They need 9 and over. So they'll be feeling pretty comfortable with where they are at the moment. Phil Salt on 22 off 16. Butler 20 off 14. A good opening partnership underway. And our opening partnership between me and Stephen Finn will end as Henry Moran comes in at first drop.
Jeff Lemon retired hurt. Pulled a quad dashing towards the back of the box. He'll be back for more later though. Jeff Lemon beautifully dressed this evening. He looks like an abstract artwork. Both shirt and bottoms. What style of art would that be? It's
sort of, there's all sorts of patterns and prints and graphics. Rather than brushstroke, it is more computer generated. Yeah. In comes Alzari Joseph. Oh, whipped away into the air, into the leg side by Phil Salt. And he's going to get a little bit of a bobble and a bounce before 4 runs are accrued. That'll do nicely to start the over. 48 without loss. Alzari Joseph into the attack and immediately dispatched away over the leg side. Yeah, it's you and I have gone for sort of plain tones today. Yep. Jeff has got enough colour for all of us this evening. He's dispensed.
Him and Barrett Sundaresan together would be a remarkable sight this evening. Yeah,
they're not necessarily sort of quiet when it comes to the fashion choices. Here comes Alzari Joseph, running in, right arm over from the far end of the ground, and Salt pulls the ball away viciously into the leg side. Fielder running round, does pretty well, but the ball, we'll wait and see this from Rutherford, because he's got a hand to it, sort of parried it backwards, and it has rolled right along the boundary sponge. It's a sort of one, actually, I'm not sure the cameras will be able to tell, that if they do check it, it'll be, they are having a look, but it's one of those, here we go. Oh yeah, stops an inch or so inside the rope, so he's done pretty well there.
Yep, good fielding, but this is where Phil Salt's so comfortable. You can see to the left arm spin, he's not got the pace to work with, but Alzari Joseph on, he's taken a liking to him these first 2 deliveries.
50 up for England, 50 without loss, chasing 181. Joseph bowls and whipped away off the pads. That's a good stop. Is well stopped at short fine leg by Akil Hussain, because that was whistling down towards the fine leg boundary. I love the idea, he just thinks everyone's rubbish.
It's true as well, yeah. It's true. He just thinks he should be hitting everyone for 4 and 6. It's such a dangerous mindset for a batter to be in terms of for a bowler, because you're running up thinking he might show me a bit of respect here. The first time I ever bowled at him, actually, it was at Lord's in a T20 game. Would have been 6 years ago or something, so he's pretty young. And he just stood there and he whacked my first delivery out the ground over old Father Time for 6. That's the only time I ever got hit out of Lord's, was when Phil Salt did it.
Really?
To me. First ball of a T20, he just stood there and whacked me for 6 out the ground. I was like, what? That doesn't usually happen.
Not here on my Mallow. 51 without loss. Butler waits, shoulders rocking, tapping that ball towards square leg, where there won't be the chance of a single. Fielder waiting. And 51 without loss is the score. Hearing about Phil Salt from Joel Manning, who we were listening to during the interval, who was talking about how Salty spent much of his childhood in Barbados and was seen as this amazing prospect as a kid, and then moved back to England, and he's the man born in Wales, grew up in Barbados, and plays for England.
So a few passports.
Well, it's an interesting story. It's an unusual route, isn't it? 51 without loss. Butler waits. England need 130 from 86, all 10 wickets in hand. Butler gets a little lucky, chopping into the ground. It bobbles over the off stump, and he runs through for a single. So the over has seen 8 from it so far with a ball left. This has been a power play that, while the scores are level in terms of where England and West Indies were at the respective points, it feels like England are in a much healthier position because they know what they got to do.
Exactly, and that's the reason why they like bowling first. They like trying to control the game with the ball in the first half, and then you know exactly what you need to do with the bat. You can pace your innings. You feel far more in control at this stage of the game.
Salt waits on 29 from 19, and we'll have to wait a little longer as Akil Hussain, Alzari Joseph, with the bleach blonde tips to his hair, walks back to the end of his mark, having just lost his run-up. It is a breezy evening. You can see those flags to our left, the St. Lucian flag, the blue and the yellow, the Piton Mountains represented, being really strongly blown. In comes Joseph once again. Right arm over, and Salt pulls that away, down towards the leg side for 6. It goes flying away in towards the wind, actually, but it had more than enough on it. Had England finish a successful power play with an exclamation mark to take them to 58 without loss after 6 overs. They need 123 from 84 balls. This is going exactly to plan, Stephen Finn.
Yep, you just sensed that Phil Salt was ready to start playing his shots as soon as the left arm spin had been removed from the attack. The West Indies actually, whilst England just take a sip of a drink, having a passionate team talk. Their captain Rovman Powell has pulled them all in. They're being hovered over by Spider Cam at the moment. You can see him giving an impassioned speech there, saying we need to show more, we need to show more fight, we need to try and break this partnership, and then we can come piling in through the door together, united. So it'll be interesting to see what the response is from his players there, but certainly at the end of these first 6 overs, England well and truly in control.
They are. Their target is 181. The required rate at the start of the innings was 9.05. They've got that down to 8.79, so they've not completely destroyed it, but they are certainly seeing it go in the right direction. And we're going to see a change in the attack, and another left-arm spinner coming in here, and it's Gurugesh Moti, who saw his big impact against England in that series last year at Grenada. 4 overs, 1 for 9. Caused England real problems. And Rovman Powell has tossed the ball to the left-arm spinner, who's drying his hands on one of the dusty parts of the wicket end. And it is 58 without loss. 6 overs gone. Butler will be on strike, 21 from 16. At the other end, Phil Salt, who leans on his bat, is 35 from 20. And Moti bowls onto the pads of Butler, who taps into the onside. And this is what he does so well, the England skipper, that, yeah, we know about the big shots, the highlight reel, but also just strike rotation that keeps you going, keeps your forward momentum. And that's so important. 59 without loss. Hear the vuvuzelas and the steel drums in the distance. Moti again, Bowling to Phil Salt. He gets one onto the pads and he begins setting off, sprinting for all he's worth. They'll turn for a second run. Throw comes in towards a danger end, which is Butler's end. I think it strikes the England skipper on his way through, and immediately he takes off his gloves because I think that might have hurt. It is the sort of one, as Kane Williamson found out in the 50-over World Cup, it's quite a dangerous place pushing for a second run. You can find the throw coming towards you, and your eyes are purely on getting in, but you can find yourself getting a nasty bruise.
It was a freak injury, that one of Williamson, wasn't it? The exposed thumb squeezing against the bat handle and breaking it. Jos Buttler, no such worry there. It's hit him on the backside. He's got a solid backside, Jos Buttler. He pulled his trousers down to rearrange his thigh pad there, and then gloves back on. We're ready to go.
He's there on 22. It's Phil Salt who's been leading the aggression in the last couple of overs, and he waits now. Waits for a ball which is just angled away towards deep cover. And England, having had the start that they've had, yeah, it's not been match-winning in itself, but they do have the freedom just to nudge and nurdle it around and keep that scoreboard ticking over. Now we're out of the power play without taking too many risks, really. 62 without loss, as Butler will do exactly that. Drops into the onside, pushing hard for the first run, turning for the second, and getting that second run comfortably enough. It's Shimron Hetmyer who's on the field in place of Brandon King. The top of his hair is a very bright pink, and England do get back for two, so 64 without loss.
Yeah, same colour as the umpire's shirt. It's magenta, isn't it? You'd say the top of Hetmyer's head, but this is brilliant batting by Salt and Butler. Understanding again that Gudakesh Moti is a very dangerous bowler for the West Indies here. He's probably their only avenue really back into the game now to turn the screw, taking no risks.
Moti in bowls, drops it short and wide, slapped towards backward point, and Butler will be frustrated that he didn't manage to find that gap. As the ball is fielded, 64 without loss. One ball left of the 7th over. England chasing. 117 now from 79. Oh, that's a beautiful piece of bowling. The crowd think he's bowled. He's not, because he'd stayed in his crease, and it was the wicketkeeper that whipping the bails off that saw the stumps light up. But there was drift, there was turn, and there was just a little sign of the threat that he poses.
No, just
64 without loss. They will check the stumping, I think, here, Finney.
Yeah, I was just waiting for our
yes,
third
TV
umpire
umpire
to come in
to
now.
director. We have an umpire review for stumping. I've checked the fit placement. It's a fair delivery. Side on replay first, please.
Umpire Shafadullah from
Bangladesh, yeah. Here we go. Butler's feet grounded.
Still grounded, still grounded. Just roll back once again. Your foot is still grounded. As the bails are taken off, satisfied, my decision for the big screen is...
I love
He likes his suspense, doesn't he?
He does. He might, I tell you, he'd be a good judge on Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, yeah.
And the answer is?
Final answer. Here's Roston Chase into the attack. So spin from both ends as Phil Salt taps down the ground for a single. And the score 65 without loss early on in the 8th over. We don't want to give you that. Yeah. Well, your mate Toby Tarrant.
Toby Tarrant, yes, a very good friend of mine. He's probably listening in somewhere. Actually, he's an absolute cricket tragic. He loves it. Stays up all hours of the night watching England, and he'll be enthused by the way that they've played so far today. 65 for 9. Exactly the required rate they're travelling at now.
116 needed from 77 balls. A little while since we've seen a boundary. England dealing really and just putting the pressure on with singles and twos. Roston Chase bowls to Jos Buttler, and there'll be another single punch towards deep backward point. Over to our right, and the Johnson Charles stand, which had been a little quiet over the last few overs. 66 without loss.
And not quite the same raucous atmosphere as there was the other night here against Afghanistan when it was such a one-sided game. 92 off the power plays. People doing cartwheels down the concourses that day.
Roston Chase, tall figure, bowls, worked into the onside by Phil Salt, who wants two, won't find them though, because there's a fielder out there on the boundary, deep mid-wicket, and so it is just one more. 3 singles to start this, the 8th over. Supporters of both sides, plenty of them around the ground. Bury FC flag I can see. Somebody's just spotted themselves on the big screen. Very pleased with themselves there. 67 without loss. Chase bowls to Butler, struck in the pad. Goodness me, he's given. Well, you heard the appeal, and Joss Butler has been given out LBW. Roston Chase celebrates. They will discuss this. He'd come quite a long way down. It's quite hard to tell from our angle, but Stephen Finn, your view on that?
TV umpire to director.
It's an interesting decision because he has skipped down the pitch. So the ball has a long way to travel still. He reviewed it straight away. West Indies clearly feel as though it's hit him on the full. The interesting thing here is going to be whether it's drifting down the leg side, I think.
Well, we heard a lot of Roston Chase. Here we go, he's advancing forward, and I think Butler, it might be in trouble.
Doesn't
there.
appear to be any bat involved. Can I have outrage to check if there is any bat involved?
He's hit the bottom corner of his pad with the bottom left corner of his bat, so he's crossed himself off slightly.
Asana outrage is building.
And he'd have felt a feeling of hitting something.
Keep rolling.
As his bat went down.
Roll it through to the bat. There's clear gap as the ball passes the bat. Satisfied, no bat involved. A ball tracking whenever it is ready, please.
I think this is out.
I think it might be. Yeah, strikes in line.
Out, impact in line.
And it's wickets hitting. Good decision.
Hassan, you will be staying with your out decision. Stand by.
Hassan Raza
screen signal now.
Raises the finger again. Joss Butler goes. LBW to Roston Chase for 25. Back in the side. Gets the wicket from a position where they really needed one, actually, West Indies. The England captain's out 25 from 22. And I've not heard an appeal like that for a while.
No, it was Nicholas Pooran was screaming into the stump mic there, wasn't he? That imploring the umpire to give it out, especially the over after captain Rovman Powell had given a big team talk. And interesting, Henry points to the screen. A surprise order change here. Moeen Ali has walked out at number 3. I think England keen to now utilise right left-handers. I'd imagine Sam Curran's also down there, padded up. But Moeen Ali looking to try and take down Gudakesh Moti, I think. Not let the left-hander completely settle into his stride. At this end below us, he's going to have to deal with Roston Chase first, though.
So 114 needed from 74 balls. This might just change the momentum. West Indies will see this as the door opening a touch and an opportunity for them to exert a bit of pressure on England, who up to this point had felt very comfortable. This is the first match of the Super 8s for both of these sides. West Indies tournament host. And the other tournament hosts also in this group. USA losing early on today, but not by much, against South Africa. Round the wicket comes Roston Chase. Moeen is edging down towards Andre Russell, who picks up at short third. Just 3 from the over so far, 1 ball left of it. The required rate just pops up a little bit towards 9.4 and over. Phil Salt leans on his bat at the non-strikers end. Here comes Roston Chase again, whirling his arms round the wicket with his off-spin. Moeen is gently playing back towards the tall figure, who crouches down, picks up, and that's a very good over. 3 from it and the wicket, 67 for 1 after 8.
Just what the doctor ordered for West Indies there. Rovman Powell is looking slightly happier than he was about 6 or 7 balls ago, when England looked as though they were cantering at the required rate. Now a wicket and a couple of good overs make this a different proposition for England. There's more responsibility on Phil Salt's head. He's played a very good innings so far, 40 from 24 balls, but he's joined by Moeen Ali, I think, to try and take down Gudakesh Moti here, so that don't let him settle and just bowl 4 overs straight through to right-handers.
Salt wait, we're presumably looking for the single. Clips towards the leg side, trying to do just that, but finds the fielder at mid-wicket. The crowd up and about and applauding that dot ball. They'll love to see the pressure building. I want to see that required rate over 10s, West Indies. Band strikes up. Salt drives down the ground viciously towards Alzari Joseph below us, and that does bring Moeen onto strike.
Yeah, Moeen's approach is going to be interesting here. It'll be a good battle. You think Moti will try and hide this outside the off stump to Mo, but with the short boundary towards his leg side, yes, he's hitting into the wind, but I think the boundary is that small that it doesn't really matter about the wind, and Moti has no real mystery about him, just a very good change of pace. Moeen's eyeing up the leg side. You can see him just surveying every fielder. He's not even bothered to look to the offside. There's only one thing on his mind.
He's going to come over the wicket. Gudakesh Moti with Moeen waiting, and he does target that leg side, sweeping Harden for 4. Well, there you go. That's England's approach. Try and get him off his line, put a bit of pressure on, and it's 72 for 1. That's a good shot. 109 needed from 69.
Yeah, nicely controlled shot. He's clearly been sent there to try and be aggressive towards Moti, but rather than putting his foot down the pitch and having a big slog sweep, the length is shorter, so he rides the bounce. He's down on one knee, but times it beautifully towards square leg.
Moeen waits and once again targets the leg side, pushing hard for the first run. Probably will be 2. They do set off for the second, and the fumble will mean it is reasonably easy. Johnson Charles out there, and there's applause from Phil Salt, who punches his bat with enthusiasm towards Moeen. 107 needed now from 68.
You can see Moti's really firing these balls short and quick. Anything that's looped up, Moeen will be slog sweeping. He'll be smashing down the ground, much like Rovman Powell did to Liam Livingston. Moti knows he can't afford to do that because Moeen's a very good slog sweeper, so everything will be quick and into the pitch.
Rovman Powell moves himself to short mid-wicket, and Moeen just prodding forward rather timidly. Almost finds himself playing on. 7 from the over with the ball left of it. 74 for 1. England need 107 from 67. Moti again. Bowling to Moeen, who attempts to reverse. That's nicely played. Down it goes towards deep third. That'll be 4 more. Very well played from Moeen Ali. And it is the England supporters, as the lesser-spotted Kidderminster Harriers shirt in the crowd applauding that. 78 for 1, 9 overs gone. And England will feel more than happy that the threat of Moti was dealt with 11 coming from the 9th.
Yeah, good batting. Moeen knows they're going to be fired through quick, so he's actually played it with the back of his bat. Often you see someone play the reverse sweep. They flip their hands round and use the face of the bat. Moeen, even though he does have supple wrists, opts for the back of the bat option, so just skidding it off the grooves of the back of the bat and using the pace that Moti offered him outside off stump to carry it all the way for 4. Intelligent batting, England back on track.
So Phil Salt up against Roston Chase. I'm going to be intrigued by this because Chase is a bit of a competitor, and Phil Salt is somebody, as you said earlier, thinks nobody's any good. And so, with long off and long on out, is he going to try and go down the ground? Salt waiting, deep in the crease, will spank the ball towards extra cover, crowd catch, as it goes on the bounce. Dot ball for Roston Chase, who's bowled 7 deliveries now, has got figures of 1 for 3. His bald head illuminated by the floodlights at the far end.
So I wonder if it's wax or something on the top of it. It's very shiny.
Very shiny. As Salt again only finds the hands of the skipper. Rovman Powell waiting at cover. 2 dot balls. Salt will be getting frustrated here. He's targeting that big expanse out through cover if he can beat that fielder inside the circle. Down the leg side, that's not a great ball. Wide singled. 78 for 1.
He's trying to bowl the Butler ball there. Roston Chase, it's not an off spinner, it's pushed out the front of his hand, almost like a cross seam seamer, looking for a Yorker, but too far down the leg side.
Chase in again, bowls to Phil Salt, and he did wind up there, and in the end just checked it and picks up a single down the ground. So 2 from the over so far, 3 balls left of it. England need 101 from 63. Required rate is 9.6. They're only 1 down. Trumpets in the distance. A little hush around the ground. I think the crowd know how big this phase of the game is. If West Indies can build pressure, take wickets, they'll feel right in this. England know if they can ride this storm, it'll be a long way to winning it. Moeen, gets lucky. Chopping down on the ball. It somehow misses the stumps. I wonder if that actually... Is that... Because we've got the keeper blocking our view. Is that an edge that was put down? Hard to say. It certainly wasn't chopped into the ground. Moeen waiting. 80 for 1. And we'll just tap the ball into the onside. Happy with a single. They'll turn for a second. Phil Salt thought about it. Stopped briefly. Throw comes in. Oh, how's that, says Nicholas Pooran. I think he's home is my instinct here. But he had to push hard. 82 for 1 as things stand.
Umpire to director, we have an umpire review for run out at the wicket keeperson. Can I have your side note replay, please?
He's treading water for a few yards there, Moeen Ali. There was a slight bit of indecision. My gut feeling is he's going to be fine.
Keep rolling. Yeah, I can see the batter has made his ground as the bails are taken off. Satisfied. My decision for the big screen is
£64,000. 82 for 1. One ball left of the over. Then we'll be at the halfway stage and there'll be drinks. Everyone can collect their thoughts. England have now got it to under 100, the requirement. 99 from 61, which is just psychologically always a useful barrier to get past early on in a run chase. Roston Chase, speaking of which, is coming in round the wicket to Bolton Moeen, who jams down into the offside, runs through, wants the single because he wants to be facing Moti. And the over comes to end with 5 from it. Chase has been the danger man so far. 2 overs, 1 for 8. 83 for 1 after 10. At this point in their innings, West Indies were essentially at the same point, 82, with one man having retired hurt. So England need 98 from 60 balls. I'll get your thoughts on the innings so far in just a moment. But let me just say hello to Tom Russian, 16-year-old. I've finished my last GCSE today and I've treated myself. I'm staying up late whilst my parents sleep and I'm supporting the team to see them through, listening from Kent. Lovely to have you with us. And thank you very much indeed for the message. gms@bbc.co.uk to get in touch. John Winterburn messages both of us actually. He says, morning lads, I'd really appreciate you doing a shout out to Murfield Cricket Club, who are doing a 24 hours of cricket starting on Friday at 10 a.m. to raise funds for a junior cricketer recently diagnosed with leukemia. Well, we're absolutely behind you all the way there, those of you at Murfield Cricket Club. 24 hours of cricket starting 10 a.m. on Friday. All the very best of luck to you for your efforts. And it'll be an amazing achievement, that 24 hours of cricket.
24 hours of cricket, yeah, that'd be a great effort. I'm not sure I'd fancy bowling my 15th spell of the 24 hours towards the back end of it. Might be a touch tired.
Right then, 83 for 1. The light show is spectacular, let me tell you. Colours everywhere. It is almost as bright as Jeff Lemon's outfit today. Here comes Jeff after some thoughts from Stephen Finn as to where this game is, with England needing 98 from 60.
Yeah, somewhat brief light show there, not too much to celebrate for the West Indies, but they're just dragging themselves back into this game now. We've seen the rate drop dramatically outside the power play in both innings with the introduction of spin. It just seems as though this surface is a bit more grippy than any of the ones that we've seen so far in this tournament here in St. Lucia. We've seen 3 belters in the previous 3 games, and both teams have just struggled as soon as that power play's ended to have any degree of fluency in terms of boundary hitting. The umpire in the distance is going in to disrupt the West Indies huddle and telling them, lads, you need to get on with it because we've got another 10 overs of cricket left to play here. But it is certainly finely poised, with England needing 98 from the remaining 60 balls. Phil Salt has played well for his 42. He's done that off 29 balls, and it seems as though he's going to be the bedrock of England trying to chase down these runs.
Well, England, in that back half of their innings, they had Adil Rashid bowling parsimoniously. They had that fabulous over from Archer. He went for 4 runs, took the wicket of Nicholas Purin. They had Sam Curran's 19th that went for 6 runs, so they were really able to turn the tap off through a few different avenues, even though there was the huge over from Livingston that went for 20. There was the one from Mark Wood that went for 19. Average it out, they were tidy across those last 10. So that's what West Indies need to try to do. 98 from 60 is the sort of equation that a decent batting side should feel very comfortable achieving. So the only way West Indies can get into England's heads here is to start getting them out. Gudakesh Moti's already gone for 17 off 2 overs. Compare that to Adil Rashid, who went for 21 off 4 and took a wicket along the way. So he was the key. West Indies will be looking at pace for the moment, with Andre Russell coming up to bowl to Moeen Ali, very wide of the off stump, 2 wide, 84 for 1.
He's just shuffled outside the leg stump there, Moeen Ali, and you have 2 options as a bowler when a batter does that. You either try and fire it in at their heel, or a really tight line so you cramp them for room, or you push it out towards the wide line. If you go for the stumps, that's exactly where the batter wants. He can just whack you back over mid-off, who's inside the circle, Rovman Pout.
Russell up to the left-handed Moeen again, who fakes going to the leg side, then stays where he is, pulls it out to deep mid-wicket, and he's caught. Moeen falls for 13. He saw the short ball, he wanted a piece of it, and he does enjoy playing the pull shot, and often It can cause his undoing. It does so here. Johnson Charles running in to celebrate with his teammates after taking a relatively straightforward outfield catch. 84 for 2 England as the second goes down.
Yeah, he looks disappointed there, Mo. It looked as though when he initially hit it that he'd got enough of it. It's back of a length. And it's hit a little bit high up on the bat, but still out of the meat. But because that wind is howling, he's hit it almost directly to where there's a gap between the party bank and the stand that we're commentating from, and the wind is howling through there, where those flags are really stiff in the breeze, and the flagpole's waggling as well, showing the strength of the wind, and it just looked to hold up, and it's ended up 5 yards inside the rope. If it'd have hit a stinger, like a golf player off the tee into the wind, you hit a stinger and it cuts through the wind, doesn't it? Whereas if you hit it up, it tends to hold up, and that's exactly what happened there to Moeen, and he has to go.
Like a salmon trying to swim upstream.
That ball was actually like that. You could see it just be held up in the air as it was hit that way. So, yeah, the wicket that West Indies wanted.
Well, Johnny Bairstow's out in the middle, square-shouldered, combative, ready to get grumpy at someone or other and to try to whack this ball around. Played pretty well in that 10-over thrash against Namibia.
Yep. And then stormed into the press conference, didn't he?
Firing shots.
Eyeballing a few of our colleagues.
Yep.
Yeah, he enjoys the abrasive relationship between the press and himself. It's clearly motivated him many times along his career.
Well, he's asking Andre Russell to wait for a minute. Something behind the side screen they're not happy about.
I keep getting worried if I move too much that we're going to get told off, because we're almost directly behind the bowler's arm, just above the sight screen with the lights on.
In a brightly lit box. Russell up to Bairstow, down the leg side, wide, second wide of the over, 85 for 2. England, they need 181 if you're just tuning in. We're on BBC Test Match Special, also on ABC Sport, on the ABC Listen app. 85 for 2 the score. England need 181 to win, so that's a further 96 from 59 balls. 8 wickets in hand. Russell up to Bairstow, who cuts off the bottom edge, and they say yes for a run. It was Phil Salt who wanted it, and he was moving and running to the end closer to the fielder at backward point. 86 for 2, Bairstow underway. Russell wandering back to the top of his mark. It's his second over. First was expensive. And Phil Salt pulls away. There's something happening behind the bowler's arm again. And it's definitely not us. We're keeping as still as we can up here.
I think Pooran was shouting at someone as Russell was running into bowl, so Salt removed himself and then pointed at Pooran and said he was mouthing off behind the stumps. I'm not facing up whilst he's doing that.
Well, if you can't bat when it's noisy, you're in the wrong part of the world. Here goes Russell outside the off stump and driving it away, but not very effectively. There's Salt. It just dribbles away behind point in the end. He was looking to go more to mid-off. He get to run for it. 87 for 1. Salt up to 43.
That run rate's just creeping up, isn't it? It's 9.89 now needed. Up and over 10. Clearly, England have power. They picked the extra all-rounder today, so that they've got the middle order hitting as opposed to top loading the order with 4 opening batters. They've decided to go for one of those middle order players in current.
Russell up to Bairstow, who flicks off his toes out to deep mid-wicket. Nice looking shot. Should get at least a couple. He won't look for a third as the throw comes in. Hetmeyer getting around out there. 89 for 2. You should have got him playing for Middlesex when you were doing the Pink Panther bit.
Exactly, he'd have suited us very well. He does play for Rajasthan, doesn't he, who play in pink, I think. He's played for them for a number of years, so maybe he just didn't have time between the IPL and now for it to wash out.
I wonder if he did Elzari Joseph's hair as well. That's been bleached but not coloured as yet. Russell bowls outside the off stump, bottom edged cut shot, so they really can't time the ball against Russell in this over. They keep getting runs for it. 1 here, 2 there. But they're up to 90 for 2 at the moment. Salt on 43, Bairstow on 4. England need a 91 from 55.
No, we expected an absolute belter of a pitch, didn't we, given what we'd seen so far, given what we witnessed on this pitch the other evening between Afghanistan and the West Indies. West Indies posting 218 in the first innings, whacking it everywhere, but it's not been quite as fluent today for anyone outside the power play.
Salt waits for Russell and gets an inside edge straight to short fine. It could have been trouble there had it been picked up cleanly, but it was not. Well, there was a fumble there. Bairstow was moving quickly from the non-striker's end. He might have got there in time, I suppose, but let's wonder if that pickup had been clean, if the throw at the non-striker's end might have found Phil Salt short. Anyway, it's 91 for 2 after 11 overs. England need a 90 from 54.
Yeah, I'd imagine 5 of those remaining 9 overs are going to be bowled by spinners. Roston Chase, with his shiny head, has got the ball in his hand at the moment. 1 for 8 from 2, so we'll have 2 from him. We'll have 1 from Hussain, who was excellent in the power play, and 2 from Moti. They've been the hardest to hit tonight.
Spin to win. Well, Chase bowls down the leg side. It hits the wicketkeeper. It's a wide, and they rush through for another one as well. So 2 extras added to the score. Too many of these extras West Indies are giving away in what's shaping up as a relatively tight chase.
There's been a lot of wides today from both teams. 10 from England, so that's the 10 runs that they've given away, plus 10 extra balls, which in the T20 is a huge swing. And so far this evening, the West Indies have bowled 5, and we've still got 9 overs to go.
Chase waits for Bairstow to get settled, and the umpire holds him up again. Bairstow still not ready. Stands there and stares at the bowler for a bit, and then taps his bat and says, "OK, you may bowl to me." Chase in at the stumps, and Bairstow sweeping bottom edge out to deep backward square leg for 1. 94 for 2.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be selective about when they try and whack, but they don't want to rely on needing an over of 20 to get the momentum back. They're going to have to try and find ways of hitting boundaries and keeping this scoreboard up with the rate.
Chase spears it through at the legs. Bairstow picks it up off his pads out to deep backward square again for 1. Salt, rather. He goes to 45. 95 for 2.
Yeah, you can just see, I think Johnny's just eyeing up Chase here. 4 deliveries left this over. Off spinner with no real mystery. He's got that ball out the front of the hand that's like a seamer. Bairstow raises his bat like a baseball style, as if to say, I'm going to try and whack you to the leg side.
Chase up and bowling, spearing it in at the pads and flick to short fine leg. They're taking it on the run, and again, if it had gone to the non-striker's end, they've gone to the wrong end there. So there was a miscommunication. Salt was coming through quickly. Bairstow wasn't ready. And again, had they gone to the non-striker's end, Bairstow could have been in all sorts. That was picked up there by Russell, and he threw to the wrong end. Chase in at the stumps, at the leg stump again, driven down the ground for 1. 97 for 2 now the score. Salt goes to 46.
So quick, this ball that he's bowling, cross seam out the front of his hand like a seamer. 108 kilometres an hour. His change-up delivery, the off-spinner is 96 kilometres an hour, so big jumps.
2 balls to come in the over. Bairstow backs away and clubs him over the bowler's head and down the ground for 4. That's a good shot from Bairstow. He got his feet where he wanted, and that enabled him to swing through the ball towards the offside compared to where his feet had ended up. It raises England's 100. They're 101 for 2. Bairstow's up to 10.
Yeah, he meets it on the 4. His bottom hand actually comes off the bat as he plays the stroke, but he's had enough momentum through the shot to be able to carry it all the way for a 1 bounce 4.
Just took half a step towards the pitch of the ball, which enabled him to turn it into a low full toss. Chase spears, Bairstow sweeps. He loves that shot, and he's again only getting 1 for it. Alzari Joseph at deep backward square leg keeps the scoring restrained. Still a good over for England. It goes for 11 once you throw in the wide and the boundary. 102 for 2. They need 79 from 48. That's a required rate of 9.9 and over. Bairstow 11, Salt on 46. England well set. A wicket could make things interesting.
Yeah, still Brooke, Livingston and Curran to come, then followed by the bowlers. Archer, Rashid can bat, but wouldn't want to be relying on them to score 12, 15 runs and over in the last 3 or 4 overs, so bulk of the runs are going to have to be scored. And you'd say Phil Salt is the most well set. He's 46 from 33. It's almost his responsibility now to try and guide and manipulate this chase in England's favour. The other batters can come in and play massive shots around him, but he's the one with the true feel for what the wicket's playing like, so he's going to have to be that rock.
Gudakesh Moti is back. Left arm orthodox spin around the wicket, driven out into the covers by Bairstow, and he'll get through for one. Places it just to the right of the captain, Rovman Powell. Make that the left. Hard to remember which hand's which sometimes. 103 for 2. Salt has 46. Bairstow has 12. Salt on strike, and he pulls away again.
Brother, I'm still long, bro. Ready, you're talking. Out of respect. That's so long, bro. Respect. So when do you want me to talk to the bowler? Nicky. Out of respect. Please. Tell me when to talk to the bowler. What I do it to you? I'm just asking. I want to be sure. So when to talk to the bowler, Salty?
Just hearing the conversation there between Nicholas Pooran behind the stumps and Phil Salt on strike.
I'm just trying to time it, sorry. I'm not doing it for spite.
So Pooran saying, I'm just trying to talk to my bowler. When would you like me to be allowed to talk to the bowler is basically what he was saying. And Phil Salt is saying, well, I wouldn't do it to you if the bowler was coming in. And he's driving a ball back to Moti, and it doesn't quite carry to him. Nearly a caught and bowled, it looked like. Moti gets down low to field. What did you make of that?
But I think Pooran, he's being cheeky. Clearly, he's allowed to talk to the bowler as long as the bowler's not approaching Phil Salt, but I think he's just trying to get under Salt's skin because he realises this is a big wicket.
Moti into Salt, who backs away and thrashes it down to long off for 1. Salt wanted 2, or he wanted the chance at 2, but in the end he decides to be a bit more careful on this occasion. 104 for 2. England needs 77 from 45.
Yeah, it's just jumping a bit here, isn't it, this rate? 10.27 now. Up into the 10s. Nicholas Pooran still chatting. He might make an enemy of Johnny Bairstow now as well. He's not someone you want to annoy.
One of the easiest jobs in cricket, that. Round the wicket goes Moti, and it's driven well by Bairstow. Out wide of long off. It's half stopped down there by Joseph, who then goes back to finish the job, but that means that it's cost a second run. Had he picked it up cleanly the first time, might have kept them to 1, but he can only parry it back behind himself and then go back to fetch it. 106 for 2.
But there are people that you would say in a team meeting, you say, right, we can get under his skin and it affects the way he plays, or...
Moti in and bowling reverse from Bairstow. Top edge over the top of short third. He didn't strike it very well because the ball slows up a long way by the time it reaches the boundary, but Romario Shepherd still can't catch up with it. Bairstow up to 18. 110 for 2, and that helps.
But yeah, you'd say in a team meeting, you leave this guy alone. Like a David Warner would be someone that you don't annoy because he then switches on and bats even better. Johnny Bairstow's probably in a similar mould.
Moti bowls to Bairstow. Yorker in at the leg stump, and Bairstow's working it to deep mid-wicket, but only taking the 1 run. Again, they were thinking about the 2. They've been so switched on looking for the second, but in the end they decide not to take on Hetmeyer's arm. 111 for 2 after 13 overs. England need 70 from 42 balls. So that's exactly 10 and over from here. They get 1 big over somewhere, that drops drastically. So very much looks like it's in England's favour at the moment. Salt on 47, Bairstow on 19. But it hasn't always been easy to start during this World Cup.
This is the over, though. I think Alzari Joseph has the ball in his hand. I think this is the over that Salt, in particular, when he gets on strike, is going to look to target. Joseph he's not great at bowling Yorkers. He'll probably bowl back of a length and try and change his pace. The field is set for that. There's mid-off is up inside the ring. Short third, backward point and extra cover. Everyone is out on the leg side, so he's going to be bangling that ball in towards the pads of Johnny Bairstow and Phil Salt, changing his length. This is their chance to try and have that big over, I feel.
Here goes Joseph up to Bairstow, who loves hitting pace, and he does it here. Smacks him for 6. Pulled. It wasn't that short. It's only about waistband height, and Bairstow, with wrists more than swivelling on his heel, has just clouted that over the leg side. That's a shot of some authority from YJB. He goes up to 25 off 12, and he's doing the job here for England again, 117 for 2.
Yeah, just sensed before this over that this would be the one that they'd target as an attempted off-cutter slower ball, but not enough pace or subtlety about that.
4 in the deep on the leg side for Joseph. Didn't help him last ball. He bowls a slower ball, bouncer that's ramped over the keeper for 4. And Stephen's Finn spot on here. This could be the game-defining over already. 10 off the first 2 balls. They've both been change-ups, speeds in the 120 km/h range rather than the high 130s to mid 140s where you might normally find Alzarri Joseph. 121 for 2, Bairstow 29.
And he's bowled his bouncer now. The umpire's just signalled that that one was above the shoulder of Johnny Bairstow, so he doesn't have the option of bowling a proper short ball. Rovman Powell now, who was at long on, has swapped with Romario Shepherd, who was at mid-off, to come and make sure that he stood next to his bowler, because he realises that this is now a critical 4 balls for the West Indies, because that rate is now down at 9, less than the required rate at the beginning of this innings. Bairstow's in the mood.
Joseph up to Bairstow, who backs away, and it's almost an under edge through to the keeper. That ball kept a little low, and Bairstow's squashing really to try to reach it. It goes almost over the leg bail in the end. Misses the bat, misses the stumps. Crowd figures in at about 6,500 tonight, which pretty much fills the joint up. It's been boisterous out there for sure. 121 for 2 the score. Bairstow on 29. Taps that bat. Waits for Alzarri Joseph. Another ball driven into the pitch, pulled along the ground this time. They'll get 2 runs for it. All those sweepers out in the deep, 2 of them converge. The one at deep backward square leg and the one at mid-wicket. 123 for 2. Bairstow up to 31.
Yeah, see, I prefer Johnny going that way. I prefer him stepping inside the line and trying to help it up over the leg side, rather than removing himself outside the leg stump and trying to cut it and edge it down towards deep third.
Joseph runs up again to Bairstow, who backs away and pulls top edge down to deep fine leg. They do have a fielder there, so they'll only get a single for that one. Akil Hussain lobbing the ball back in. 124 for 2. Bairstow to 32. 1 to come in this 14th over. So Joseph has pulled it back. 6 and 4 off the first 2, then dot 2 and 1. He's gone for 13 already. Desperately needs to escape from this over without too much more damage. But England only needing 9 and a bit, which is what they needed at the start of the innings. In, Joseph, pulled away by Salt. In the air, deep mid-wicket, will come in and grab it on the bounce. 125 for 2, so a bit of an escape from Joseph. The over goes for 14 after the first 2 balls went for 2. Salt up to 48, Bairstow on 32, 6 overs to come. And as we've seen throughout this World Cup, plenty can happen in the space of 6 overs.
Yep, a lot has happened inside the first 6 overs of both innings, and then outside of those 6, people have found boundaries really hard to come by. The West Indies have opted for a very spin-heavy approach here. All 3 of their spinners, you would imagine, are going to end up bowling out, and the guy who had a very excellent power play, he's almost a specialist power play bowler with his ability to bowl his quick arm balls and his changes of pace. For his slow left arms, Akil Hussain is coming back into the attack now.
Well, he's got 1 over up his sleeve. Akil Hussain went for 19 off his first 3, tidied. Didn't take a wicket, could have. Had a catch dropped, had Phil Salt dropped. And how critical that might have been if the wicketkeeper had been able to hang on to a very tough chance. Hussain in at the stumps, backing away. Salt is punching it out to deep cover for 1. 126 for 2. Bairstow feels like he's at a stage of his innings where he won't be holding back anymore. One proper big over will kill this chase. Hussain, maybe not the bowler to target. Bairstow plays a little reverse. He's hit on the pad. Hussain loves it. He wants it. Could be a run out at the non-striker's end. Phil Salt tries to go back for a run with the overthrow. So it lobs off the pad from Bairstow. It goes behind square leg. Salt wanted to run the leg by. He gets sent back. Had the throw hit, he would have been gone comfortably. And now they're chatting about the review for the LBW, West Indies. Purin's talking. He waves it away. So they won't use that review. Rovman Powell chatting. Hussain involved. Talked about a lot happening. That was a busy period. Phil Salt would have been 3 metres short had that throw hit. So he's had a couple of lives now. Bairstow's got the strike. 126 for 2, and Hussain pulls out of his approach. Bairstow fakes a step to the leg side, goes back to the offside, gets down on one knee and sweeps it for 4. Just beats the sweeper out there who was coming around from a squarer position to deep backward square leg. They've got a short fine inside the circle, but once that ball went square of him, it was always streaking away to the boundary. 130 for 2. Bairstow's up to 36 from 18. He's striking them at 200. This is what the West Indies players weren't able to do. Had Rovman Powell come in and really express himself for a while. But Johnson Charles and Nicholas Purin were both going at not much more than a run a ball. Soaked up a stack of deliveries between them. 130 for 2. Akil is saying to Bairstow, slog sweep, top edge. Will it hang? Will it stay in the field of play? Nope, it's out of here for 6. Deep mid-wicket, standing under it. Shimron Hetmeyer can only watch it go over his head. That's where most of the action is, above Shimron Hetmeyer's eyebrows. 136 for 2. Bairstow to 42 from 19.
Yeah, excellent power from Bairstow there. He's really provided impetus. It was sliced up actually off the face of the bat. It didn't come cleanly and flat as if you would see many sixes hit in T20 cricket, but because of that wind that's pumping across the ground from east to west, all he had to do was get it up into the atmosphere, and that wind carried it all the way to the big boundary for 6, the exact opposite to what happened to Moeen Ali when he got caught hitting the other way.
He's almost caught up to Phil Salt as Bairstow. Phil Salt hasn't been going that slowly himself. Hussain finally been collared in at the stumps. Bairstow, huge drive inside edge. He might get 4 more. It's rolling down towards the fine leg rope, and the chase doesn't quite pull it in. 140 for 2. Bairstow up to 46 from 20. And he is already basically the match winner. They need 41 from 31. And it would take something pretty remarkable to fail to pull that off from here. 140 for 2.
Yeah, he's in 5th gear here, Bairstow. Everything is being swung out. He's in the mood. He's striking them well.
Hussain in and bowl, spears it at leg stump and misses. Leg stump misses the pads. It's a wide. Another one to add to Stephen Finn's tally. 141 for 2. Still a ball to come in the 15th. Hussain up to Bairstow, who defends from the crease. Well, maybe you've earned the right to do that after you've taken 16 runs from the over. We talked about a big over. That one might have been just big enough. England need 40 from the last 5 overs. 40 from 30 deliveries. Salt on 49, Bairstow on 46. England 141 for 2. Plenty left in the shed. And Henry Moran is coming in from our shed to take you through to the close.
Yep, England in prime position here. They've got that rate down to 8 runs and over required. They've done the hard work now. Can they finish it off? It's been a good display of chasing by England. They bowled well in the first innings. A couple of big overs threatened to derail their opportunity to restrict the West Indies, but it meant that the West Indies posted maybe a slightly subpar score, but still a competitive one. And it does mean that now Johnny Bairstow, having scored 46 from 21, has put England in the box seat. He's partnered Phil Salt, who has 49 from 37, who's been the anchor, the bedrock of this innings. They're complementing each other nicely. They need to do it for 5 more overs or less to chase these final 40 runs.
Yeah, 40 needed from 30 deliveries for England to get what would be a huge victory. at the start of this Super 8 phase, and it'd be a victory that not just would be valuable in terms of points, but I think it'd be quite a statement win, actually. I think against the side, West Indies have won their last 9 in this format and were so impressive, hitting north of 200 here against Afghanistan just 2 days ago. Not the job complete yet is a sentence that Yoda might say. I think you know what I mean. Job not done. They're getting there. Here comes Romario Shepherd. Salt on strike on the cusp of 50, and he slashes away over cover, and it's a 1 bounce 4. And with that, Phil Salt reaches an excellent half century. Joss Butler applauds. 53 from 38 for Salt. There's some fairly elaborate dancing in the crowd. It's 145 for 2, and England need 36 from 29.
Yep, fantastic from Phil Salt. Well-deserved 50, but he's going to want to be the man that's there at the end.
Here comes Romario Shepherd, bowling to Salt, who hits back down the ground. It's gone aerial. Fielder running round, will not get there because it's 6. England starting to look like this is going to be done in double quick time. 30 needed from 28. Salt moves to 59. And other than some slightly tricky overs against the spin in the middle overs, England have looked dominant against the pace in particular.
Well, it's the worry for West Indies. It's the one area of their team that actually you think they don't have covered that well is death bowling and bowling under pressure when teams are chasing totals such as this, when their powerful batting lineup can't score a really insurmountable total. So England taking advantage of that. They were able to milk the spinners, now attack the seamers.
30 needed from 28. Salt waits for Shepherd and uppercuts over the keeper's head, and that should run down towards us for 4 more. Yep, there we go. Hits a red part of the boundary sponge. 4-6-4, and the required rate is now under 6 and over. Phil Salt moves to 63 from 40, and it is all looking very straightforward.
Yeah, they're doing it at a canter here. England, the West Indies, that intensity and that bounce that was around the stadium the other evening, it's gone football crowd style. They're all piling out the exits now in the stand away for our right.
They are. Shepherd, powerful man, comes in, bowls, oh, goodbye, there it goes, out of the ground, straight back over the bowler's head to the top deck of the pavilion. Goodness me, he's hit that hard. Phil Salt, who got back-to-back hundreds against West Indies in the tour before Christmas. He's hit 69 from 41, and England need 20 from 26.
I think Phil Salt saw Johnny Bairstow maybe putting in a man of the match performance, so said, no, actually, I fancy player of the match here. 93 metres, that 6. It's an off-cutter attempted by Shepherd, but there's no grip in this surface for the seamers bowling it at that pace, and Salt can just stand there. It's outside off stump. It couldn't be in a more perfect position for him to extend his arms through that and watch it sail miles and miles over the rope.
The other point in all of this, Finney, is that England winning quickly.
That run rate, is it? Yeah.
Salt sees England now needing 20 from 26. He pulls away again, 6 more! Behind square into the leg side, almost taking out the DJ's decks, and how symbolic it is that the music is being quietened around this ground by a man who is in the mood. 75 from 42. England need 14. This over has yielded 26. Now we've still got a ball left of it.
Yep, savage by Salt. Just using the length and the line on his hip there to help it up, and it's an easy hit for a man who's in this good a touch. Up over that deep backward square leg fielder, and cutting forlorn figures out there now, the West Indies, because 14 required. England are going to do this easily.
In comes Shepherd. Salt waiting and goes hard at the ball. Into the offside it goes. It's going to be 4 more. An over that sees spectators flooding out of this ground. 30 from it. England need 10 from 24 balls. Salt's on 79. Bairstow on 46. And Romario Shepherd, who has had the highs of the birth of his second child this week. But he comes back into the West Indies side, and he has been taken to task by Phil Salt in that over. That was brutal hitting. 10 from 24.
Yeah, brilliantly calculated hitting, though. It's exactly what England would have been planning the entire time. They know that West Indies' strength are those spinners, the finger spinners, who are able to exert so much control, intersected throughout the innings, but knowing that there's a weakness in the seam bowling of the West Indies that is gettable. And Phil Salt loves playing against seam bowling that's not quite on the money, and he's taken advantage there of Romario Shepherd.
Well, it's going to be Gudesh Moti who's going to bowl with wide long on, wide long off, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, deep cover. 10 needed from 24. Johnny Bairstow on strike. He's on 46. He'll be on 47 with that. And England need 9 from 23. There's a lot of blue plastic seats revealing themselves over in the Johnson Charles stand. And this will be, a big knock to the West Indies. I tell you, it's a side that felt in the mood. Moti round the wicket, bowling to Phil Salt, who spanks that ball away behind square, and there's 4 more. Everything must go. Salt moves to 83, and you sense that if this game required more runs for England, he'd happily get that century in quite swift time. He looks immovable, and he's played so well. 83 from 44, England need 5. Could just be one blow. Moti round the wicket. Salt instead just taps the ball into the onside and trots through for a single. So he moves to 84, and Johnny Bairstow on the cusp of a half century will get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, take the red ink. That's old school. Take the not out. Bump that average up. A few players used to think like that.
Moti bowling to Bairstow, who plays a very elegant shot into the offside, a drive on one leg, which is fielded by Akil Hussain inside the circle. England need 4 from 20. Smiles all rounds for that England dugout in the distance. Moti bowls a ball which is cut behind square towards short third. There won't be a run there. Bairstow's annoyed with himself. He thought that was the chance to win the game there and then. 2 dot balls then. England need 4 to win from 19 deliveries. Moti is in. Bairstow deep in the crease, knows the cry. So West Indies fighting here, but England on the cusp of what would be, I think, a really significant victory, given the fact that there was, the blip against Australia, but otherwise they'd batted for a total of 13.2 overs in this tournament. They barely got going.
Yeah, it's been a good opportunity to lay down a marker, I think, in this next stage. All the conversations and all the language has been that it's a restart, it's a fresh start. You don't carry any net run rate over. All you've got to do is scrape your way through the group, and then you start hitting your straps towards the latter stages of the tournament. And this, aside from a couple of dodgy overs with the bowling, has been almost a complete performance by England, and to the point where the Johnson Charles stand is almost empty apart from England fans now.
And those England fans in the party stand are enjoying themselves as well. 4 from 18 required. Azari Joseph, with the rather thankless task of having to try and do something in this 18th over, is running in towards us with Phil Salt on 84. And Salt gives himself some space and pulls the ball into the leg side. That should allow time for 2 runs, because fielder in the deep at deep mid-wicket has a lot of ground to make up. And as the throw comes in, it is a throw that is far too late to cause any panic for England, who now need 2 from 17. 179 for 2. Music still very loud around the ground, even though we're coming up to 10 to midnight local time. We'll have a podcast for you first thing tomorrow morning with reaction from the England camp. Here comes Joseph. 2 needed from 17 balls. Salt on 86 will hit the ball in the air. It'll land safely. They'll push hard for the first. They'll turn for a second that isn't there. And so Salt on 87 from 47. Alongside Johnny Bairstow's on 47 from 25, both striking in the high 80s. And this partnership is worth 96.
Yeah, match defining, isn't it? Johnny Bairstow just nudged down the order 1 for Moeen Ali to come in and attack the slow left arm.
In comes a delivery from Azari Joseph out towards the deep. And there it is, England win. It was worked away to mid-wicket, and they could just trot through for 1. Bairstow and Salt finish with a partnership worth 97, unbroken. Salt finishes on 87, Bairstow on 48. England chase down their target to win by 8 wickets, and they get there midway through the 18th over. And Stephen Finn We wondered what would happen tonight. It felt a very hard one to call. England have made it look very easy.
Yep, England have turned up. The England that everyone has enjoyed watching over the last few years, the power that they have with the bat, the skill that they have with the ball, and they executed their game plan. They won the toss, they bowled first, exactly what they wanted to do on a good surface. They restricted the West Indies in that first innings through some very diligent bowling, intelligent bowling, and then they knew when they got the bat in their hand, they knew exactly what the danger was. The danger was the finger spinners, the left arm spinners. They respected those guys, they took down the other bowlers, and then as soon as they had enough momentum, they could have a lot of fun out there. That was underpinned by Finn, not him, he doesn't bat, he's useless. Phil Salt, with 87 from 47 deliveries, and he's played an outstanding innings here, a really, really mature innings actually, because there was a time where that rate got up around 11 and England could have panicked, they could have thrashed around, but they backed themselves to have one big over from a seamer. Phil Salt took Romario Shepherd for 30 in the over, and the game was won in the 16th over.
Well, Johnny Bairstow shaking hands with the West Indies team who come onto the field to congratulate a victorious England side, who are streaming onto the field themselves with smiles on their faces. And there'll be a team that wakes up tomorrow who will feel that they've answered a few questions, not necessarily within their own group, filled with belief, of course, given the success they've had as a white ball side, particularly in this format in recent times. But perhaps just those that have maybe suggested this team's a bit over the hill and one thing and another. It's not a job done, it's one good game, but it's a game that feels like they've really put something out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd refute those claims that they're over the hill, because they've added fresh faces and young faces into this team, which has meant that it's evolved, and one of those young faces is Phil Salt. He's an experienced T20 player, but he's still young enough to be a part of this team for a long time to come. But he's played a really mature innings this evening, and England will know that they want to hit their straps as they go through the tournament. They've been changing their team, but it's always been a logical decision. It's never looked like panic or throwing sticks in the air and seeing who lands, and those people played what it felt like during the 50 over World Cup before Christmas. They seem calm, they seem calculated, they seem focused, and they've played a really good game of cricket here.
181 was the target. They've chased it down midway through the 18th over, and there weren't really that many alarms along the way as well, because it was a good opening partnership, worth 67 from 7.4 overs between Salt and Butler, before Butler was out LBW to Roston Chase for 25. Moeen Ali came out and played some lusty blows, but was eventually caught in the deep by Johnson Charles off the bowling of Andre Russell. And then came that big partnership, 97 from 47 between Phil Salt, who has reached 87 from 47 with 5 sixes in there, and Johnny Bairstow, 48 off 26. 48 not out. Johnny Bairstow, fine performance from him, and you have to say it feels like England's top order, where Phil Jacks, forgive me, between the two of us we will get there, where Jacks and Bairstow was the debate. Well, it looks as though England are quite comfortable now with given what we've seen in this game.
Yeah, the experience is important, I think, especially playing the role that Johnny Bairstow did today. He came in, he made sure that Phil Salt wasn't under pressure. He made sure that Phil Salt was going to be there at the end. He'd have kept him calm, been that influence in the middle that you want and you need from a senior player. He played a fantastic innings of 48 from 26, and exactly when England just needed that little bit of impetus, he hit a couple of boundaries, got the ball rolling again, calmed everyone down in the dugout, and all of the England team was smiling there at the end, quite understandably.
Yeah, they'll be a very happy camp, and they, like South Africa, have got off to a good start in this side of the Super 8s, getting a comfortable victory here by 8 wickets. We'll have all the reaction to it in the Test Match Special podcast, available to listen to via BBC Sounds. And if you want to see some of the best of the action, if you're listening in the UK, head to the BBC Sport website and app. So that is what we've got for you. Tomorrow, our action comes from the game between Australia and Bangladesh, the other side of the Super 8 draw. Australia, Bangladesh, Afghanistan and India. Early hours, so 24 hours from now, basically. 1:15 in the morning, live commentary, Australia against Bangladesh. So look out for that one. All the fixtures available on the BBC Sport website and app. England's next game, by the way, is on Friday afternoon, UK time, 3:15. So England...
Our player of the match tonight, not surprising that it's England's top...
we'll be hearing from the player of the match in due course. Natalie Germanos alongside Phil Salt down there, but we'll be catching up with him in a little bit. You'll be able to hear that on the podcast. But we've got to go now. Stephen Finn, thank you very much indeed for your time. Jeff Lemon as well, and Carlos Brathwaite. Look out for that podcast. As I mentioned, BBC Sounds for the Test Match Special review of this game and all the reaction from inside the England camp. England victorious here in St Lucia by 8 wickets. A really impressive performance. Midway through the 18th over, that's when they got there. And Phil Salt, unsurprisingly, player of the match. 87 from 47 deliveries. Performance from England to win this game.